What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream on this lovely Wednesday. Sorry, we're a little bit late. It is on me because we were at Universal. We stayed at Helios Grand Hotel last night, and then we did some stuff today. Got home about an hour ago, and it's just been kind of hectic, but it's been good. It's been good. So it's a little bit of a celebrating some birthdays, my wife and I. So it had a good time. We got some thoughts. We're going to talk about Celestial Goodnight because it just so happened to coincide with us staying there. We actually didn't plan for it. So I wasn't in the park, but I did have a really good view of fireworks that were, honestly, that was the most intense fireworks show I've ever been because they were shooting off probably less than 100 yards from us.
That's
and
great.
So those like booms were just right over our heads. Like you could actually feel it a little bit. So
I saw the footage. That was pretty close.
It was very close. It was very like you could feel it in your chest. You know, when you hear like a boom, and you're like, "Oh man!" Like it was interesting back there. But yeah. So we'll talk a little about that, and I'll the intro of the show. I did check out Level 99, and I'll get some thoughts on that because I actually kind of like it. Not gonna lie, I really poo-pooed that when they first announced it, and I was like, "Well, this isn't so bad." But before we get into any of that, I will mention theme park conductor. I think we're live on his channel. He's supposed to be here. We're thinking maybe he fell asleep. So he might pop in. He may not. He was on the thumbnail. So conductor, hopefully conductor's good. So we'll see. He may pop in here. But if not, I texted OG and I was like, I haven't heard from conductor since last night. But, we'll see. But he did get it set up. So maybe he'll show up here.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I called him. I'm like, he didn't answer it. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Maybe he's not coming.
We are live on Conductor's channel, so we won't do anything to hurt Conductor's channel here. We'll take good care of you over here if you're in Conductor's stream. Before we get going here, though, I introduce the panel. Of course, these lovely gentlemen. As always, we have Mr. Orange Grove 55. Thank you for being here. And where can everybody find you out there?
Yeah, well, out the gate, Jared. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. I'm 22 years young today. I feel fresh.
There we go. But happy birthday to Jared. And I appreciate everybody joining us today. Mr. Vash Sky, everybody in the chat. You can find me right here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55. We got Tones Poppy in the house too.
We got Cliff Fix in here too. What's up, Cliff?
There you go, Cliff Fix. But yeah, you can find me right here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55, talking theme parks. I actually have a great video up right now with Mr. Dave from Fresh Baked. West Coast legend. So check that video out. We talk about the future of the Disneyland Resort, mostly the DCA stuff, Coco, Avatar, all that good stuff. So that's up right now on the channel. You can also find me on X, Orange Grove 55, and on Instagram, Orange Grove 55.
Absolutely. Remedy says maybe conductor fell asleep on the train. So definitely possible.
That's
and we also have another alternative, which is Tone says he was caught up with a lady. So who knows? It's the summertime. Maybe there's a summer of love happening. We'll see. But
interesting.
But of course, we're also joined by Mr. Vash Sky from the Vash Cash. Vash Cash. That's actually not a bad nickname for Vash.
Not bad.
Vash Sky Park Cast. Thank you for being here. Where can they all find you? And are you at 10,000 subs yet? I feel like
we are very, very close. I mean, we're just right at the razor's edge right there. So amazing accomplishment to actually be at 10,000. That's thanks to all of you out there. Thanks to Jared and thanks to OG55 for getting out the word. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for Theme Park Conductor. I know he's retweeted a couple of things and shared a couple of things. So thank you to every single person for really making this possible right here. So you can find me on Vash Sky Park Cast. Where we are covering all kinds of theme park coverage right there. A couple stories that you may hear tonight, but some others that, we really try to, do a broad spectrum of stuff from all over the United States, even some parts of the world at various times right there. So definitely check us out. We have a Thursday stream at 6:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then Vash and Vixen on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern for Sky Watchers out there. So thank you so much, Jared. OG, thanks for having me on. Jared, happy birthday.
Thank you. And of course, I'm going to tell you congrats on 10K before you hit it because you're going to hit it. So congrats on you. And Vash go check it out. I know Vash had a live stream earlier today, and actually we did move this show. It is normally on Tuesdays. We have decided to do that. It's just with me traveling, we had to push it back a day. So it is going to be on Tuesdays around 8:30 Eastern time going forward. So if you're looking to mark it on your calendars, that is the way to mark that. And Clifflix says he's going to Epic Universe next week. Can't wait to record this new show. I'm finishing my Epic Universe July 4th show. I just recorded. Can't wait for this. Cliff does really good videography, by the way. So I will be checking that out when you get that up, Cliff, because he does good camera work there.
Now, I do want to give a.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
We got a 5 here from Juliet. I think it's Sterling Pound. Says morning simulcast with Vashkai Parkcast. Capture the Magic. Orange Grove 55 theme park conductor and Skyliner Skywatchers and chat. Thank you, Juliet.
Hey there. Thank you so much, Juliet.
And I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Seymour Duck. We actually last week we had Mr. Duck on theme park in. Always a good time with Mr. Seymour. Member for 23 months. Appreciate you, man. We actually, Tones, Seymour, and myself did a video yesterday about box office. And Supergirl is absolutely crushing it. So it's a huge hit.
Oh, fantastic. Really fantastic
at least
stuff.
There's going to be a trilogy out of this, I think, after the box office performance of that movie. Absolutely. I think
James Gunn is really, really proud. So good stuff. And
James Gunn is that meme. I saw somebody post the Joe Pesci from, was it Goodfellas, when he walks into the room and he doesn't know he's about to get taken out. It's like James Gunn this morning walking into Warner Brothers offices. I'm like, yeah, that may not be good for him there. But we'll see. I think it was Goodfellas that happened. I always get Goodfellas and Casino mixed up. I think maybe it was.
I think it was Goodfellas. He walks into.
Oh, Casino is when him and his brother, right?
Yeah, him and his brother in the cornfield.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I get those. It like had the same cast for those movies, and in my head I can't figure out which one's which.
Right.
And I do have breaking news here. Sleeping Beauty is up. She will be joining us shortly. I just got the text. I will be right there. So he's in.
Right.
He's in.
Fair enough. All right. Well, he will be here. So we'll shoot a little bit here before he gets here. We also have a $2 from XVoot. Thank you, XVoot. Very generous over the multiple live stream series. Happy birthday. Thank you for the content, gentlemen. You're more than welcome. But so my wife and I, I don't know if it's still the case, but they had some really cheap rates for Helios that my wife found. And she was like, why don't we go to Helios for just, get away for a day? Because her birthday's the 7th, mine's the 8th. And we're like, it was like under $200 for Helios theme park view. And I was like, let's do it. So we didn't even plan to go into Epic. We're just doing basically a staycation and just really reviewing the resort. And then they announced that Celestial Goodnight was playing. We're like, well, that brings a different wrinkle into it. So we didn't want to go into Epic because we just, we've been there a few times. We just went a couple weeks ago. So we got there. And by the way, shout out to Rob White. I ran into Rob. So funny enough, I know OG knows Rob. Jose knows Rob. We called Bell Services this morning, and Rob was the guy that came to our room. And he was like, I think I know. And I was like, oh, this is Rob. So we talked to Rob. Rob's really good people. I think I saw him in the chat as well. If you're in here, Rob, what's up? He's a great bellhop there. Took good care of all the luggage. Nothing was lost.
I was at a couple months ago. I actually spent the day at Universal Hollywood with Rob and his lovely family. And Rob is a wealth of information with anything really Universal.
Yeah, we were we ended up talking in the room for 10 minutes about theme park stuff, and we were just thought, yeah, he's good. He's good people. But so we stayed at Helios, and we did Bar Helios. We did Flora Taverna. We got something from the quick service. I think we ate at all the places. We got something from the pool bar, and then last night we were obviously they're not letting people in the Celestial Park, which I do think if you're a guest of Helios, you should be able to go into Celestial Park and get food, even Pizza Moon and stuff like that. But I was talking to some of the team members, and they're like, well, basically you have to choose if you're not going into the park. So they're like, from our room, we could see the fountain. And they're like, you can watch the fountain, or you can kind of go by the pool area, which that's the closest to the Fireworks Peninsula stuff. And you can see the fireworks. So you kind of have to pick and choose which one you want to go see. And we were like, okay, let's go check out the from the pool. And that's where we watched the fireworks show. But they didn't pipe in any music. So they were playing the movie that they play by the pool. And I found out talking to Rob that they had worked out the rights for the music they'll play it. And so they actually pipe it into the rooms. So you can actually watch it on the TV in your room with the music playing, but they didn't work out a deal yet for the pool area. So I think that's why they didn't play it there. But that was kind of weird because they had Sing playing while fireworks are going off, but you couldn't hear. I don't know who was even watching the movie because there was this massive fireworks show going off above your head and all that. But no, it was fun. And then we decided on a whim today. We went over and checked out Level 99 in Disney Springs. I'm not going to lie. That is a lot of fun. I did not think I would like when they first introduced that. I was like, what is this thing? And it's just my wife and I. We had a really good time. If you're competitive, it's kind of like a bunch of mini escape rooms in a way. Like it depends on the room. Some are more physical challenges, some are more escape room type, but each one takes like 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then you kind of go in and out of these things. There's like 60 different rooms. A lot of fun. It'd be really good for like a big group because they have like group games you can play and stuff.
Let me ask you a question, Jared. Let me ask you a question because we know that Horrors Unleashed over in Vegas is, you know, a little bit on the struggle side, right? It's not doing super hot with the year-round Halloween stuff, right?
Right.
Maybe Universal can do something like this, a level 99, but all Universal stuff. That would be pretty sick in Vegas.
It would be cool. And I think something like this has more appeal, honestly, because those are the same issues I brought up before they announced it. I'm like, who's going to want to go to a haunted house in like now, like June, July? But yeah, this one, it was, Disney Springs wasn't busy. That's one reason we did it. And we were like, well, it's a Wednesday. And Disney Springs was, I mean, nobody's in the parking lot or the parking garage. But there was quite a few people at level 99, and everybody looked like they're having a good time. Like, and probably if you have kids that are like, I would say 8 or 9 years old or older, they would probably really enjoy this as well. Some kids may be in the 7-year-old range. I don't know if our son would enjoy this, but our daughter would on some of these games. But it was a lot of fun. So, and it really isn't too bad. It was $30 a person for 1.5 hours. And then I think for 2.5 hours, it was 40. For what you get, it really is a decent value. I'm not going to lie. I was very pleasantly surprised. I walked out and told my wife, I was like, I was wrong. I thought this thing was going to be terrible. And I actually kind of liked it. I'm going to get my brother to go with me because we're very competitive, and I feel like it's going to end in us fighting, but it'll be a good time. So,
well, now, do you feel like this thing is it's gonna be a mainstay at Disney Springs? Like people are going to really?
That's the question. I don't know. I don't know. I think it definitely has a better shot than NBA Experience because when I played basketball my entire life. NBA Experience came in, and I was like, this is not going to work here. Wrong demographic. I remember going in there and being like, what even is this? And they were kind of like, they didn't have a video. They were just trying to tell you what you could do, but it was like $80 a person. And I was like, I'm not really willing to take an $80 gamble on this that, you know, it's just a basketball stuff. And so I think it has a better chance than that. I think it probably has more appeal than Disney Quest did, even though I did enjoy Disney Quest. I think the question is probably like, what is the longevity of this? But I don't know. I think probably at least a couple of years. I don't know. It's on an end of Disney Springs that really isn't as trafficked as the other side is. It's kind of near Cirque du Soleil and some of that stuff on that end. I think it's the west side. So I don't know if the location is bad for it or not, but there were some, I mean, it wasn't like insanely packed because we just walked up without a reservation. So I don't know. I think it could. I think the more people do it, I think they'll enjoy it. So if there are more people taking a bet on it, I think they would probably like it.
Well, and this is a smart move, right? Where like, you know, brick and mortar retail, Vash and I did a video on my channel about this the other day, where it's like brick and mortar retail is really kind of like a melting ice cube. It's not like super hot right now. A lot of these big companies, you know, Sears, Forever 21, you know, Toys R Us, you know, they're gone, right? So I think that if these companies like Disney and Universal want to have this kind of like this mall element to their resorts, these kind of experiences like level 99 is really where it's at. I think people will go for this. The days of like just putting a Cheesecake Factory in there, no, that ain't it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a good change of pace. And so I'm curious what it'll do. What I've heard mostly positives from it. So we'll see. And if you guys want more, we'll talk way more on if you guys want to check out more review on Helios and even this, we'll talk way in depth on this over on CTM podcast on YouTube with my wife and I, because I think we're gonna record that tomorrow and it'll be out on Friday. So we'll talk about that in depth about our thoughts on it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I wanted to do another, because while you're doing it, you can get another hour. You can just pay the difference. We just didn't have time because we had to head back home. But I would have actually done it for another hour. I actually did want to leave. So for me, that is kind of a telling sign there. But what is up, Mr. Theme Park Conductor? He made it. He's here. How's it going?
You made it.
I did.
I was texting OG. I was like, have you heard from Conductor? Like, I saw you read it, and I was like, I wonder, did you fall asleep? We were taking a bed. Did you fall asleep?
Yeah.
I knew it.
It's inventory week. Well, like the week prior to inventory. So our hours are starting to get all weird.
So, I remember those days. I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inventory was always me on a fork truck in the back of the warehouse, acting like I was counting. And
Pretty much. Pretty much.
If you have I figured if you have a clipboard in your hand, and you're looking up, nobody bothers you. And you're just like, hey, he's working, he's fine. And you're like, yeah, no big deal. But well, thank you for being here. By the way, we had a bet going: is either you fell asleep or maybe a lady. Listen, it's the summertime. You never know. So we weren't sure, but
it was tempting.
It was tempting.
Tempting.
I was tempted, but I didn't. But before we get going on here, where can they all find you, Mr. Theme Park Conductor, here on YouTube and the interwebs?
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor, on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we have amazing guests like the one, the only Mr. Capture the Magic with his East Coast theme park opinions, which I love so much, which some of them we're going to dive into tonight, and I can't wait. We got Orange Go 55 on there, constantly on there, helping me with all these amazing special guests as we break down the theme park news. And we got the one and only Mr. Vash Guy, hopefully going to be returning to Conductor Sunday live stream very, very soon.
There he is.
Absolutely. By the way, I like this baritone in your voice. I like it. It reminds me, if I did a live stream after just waking up, I would sound like Shaq. It'd be like, hey, man, welcome to the show. Like I sound the most like, I almost sound like Sam Elliott. Then it goes away after an hour. I mean, maybe when I'm an older man, I'll get it there. But yeah, it's like,
hey, what, you tell me you want to do some ASMR talk right now?
Dude, can you just say Coors Light?
Coors Light.
There you go. He's got it. He's got it there.
Hey, Tones Poppy said, who would name their daughter Inventory Week?
Oh no,
it's California. You never know. You got some wacky names out there. You know.
Hey, Tones has an excellent point. Who would name their daughter Kirkland or son Kirkland?
I feel like maybe it doesn't. Is Kirkland? I feel like that's a good last name. Have I ever met anybody named Kirkland as a first name?
I don't know.
I feel like that's like a lineage name. Like I'm James Kirkland. I come from the Kirkland line of very important people. Before we hop into our first story here, we have a couple more super chats. We got Jules. Oh, let me get this right. Julie Axelrod. I think I got that right. 1911 for $1.99. Thank you very much. It says James Gunn. The denial is real.
Yeah,
that is the case. Yeah. By the way, I like James Gunn's movies that fit what he's good at, which I think is more of an ensemble type thing. Like Guardians was a great example of that. I never thought he was going to be a good studio head. I just was like, this is going to be. And when I saw Superman, I was like, I hated his Superman. I was like, okay. And yeah, it doesn't look like that's got too much legs on it.
Well, he's on shaky ground right now because Supergirl is flopping and Warner Brothers is getting bought out by Paramount. So Paramount is going to look for ways to trim the fat, right? And they're going to go in there and make moves.
The problem, though, now at this point, if they want to get rid of him, it's like, are you going to restart DC again within like less than like 6 years now? Like that would just be so confusing, I think, for like the general normie audience if you just had all these different DC universes going on.
Well,
I mean, you'd have to put it to sleep, right? You have to let it rest.
Assume, yeah,
you would. Like it's inventory week, you know.
We're renaming DC Inventory Week because we talked about this. We also have a 10 from Cliff Flicks. Thank you, Cliff. Let me get the applause. The people are cheering. He goes, you guys know how I can get up to Helios to get a reverse shot of the park for the fireworks show lights view. Must I have a room there to get inside and up high? Okay, if you want to go to Bar Helios, you can get reservations. They did have a new policy from 4 to 8 p.m. and maybe it was extended for the show, is you had to be a hotel guest. But I think you can get up there. I'm not sure during the show though. So if I was you, just go talk to some of the team members there. They'll let you know. But it's up high though. They kind of like, they've got glass and you don't have the best view. You have to be really tall to get a really good view of, say, the fountain from up there. But like from our room, we had the best view from our room. And when we went up to the observation deck, I was like, actually, this isn't as good as just what we had in the room view. So
Yeah.
kind of depends there. But yeah, I would go talk to him. I mean, you should be able to, but I don't know if they're going to keep that new rule. They just started the new rule a few days ago, though. So I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, I kind of figured, Jared, they would implement something like that, because when I was there, I just walked straight up there. They said, oh, no, just if you want to hang out, hang out at the bar, go outside. They didn't really have an issue, but I think with this show, that's why they implemented that.
Yeah. We went up there. We had a bar Helios after the fireworks show. It wasn't that busy afterwards, but I was glad we saw it from the pool. And this will go into our first topic here, which we're going to talk about the Celestial Goodnight that premiered at Epic Universe. So this premiered last night. This was, I mean, the park is about a year old now. This fireworks show is in the works, longer than that. I think they've been working on the show for quite a bit here. And obviously they've been doing a lot of infrastructure updates around Celestial Park and behind Helios to get ready for this. And they premiered it last night. And so we saw it from the pool. I saw the fireworks portion, which I will say, some people were speculating this was going to be light on fireworks. It was not. It was very heavy on fireworks. And then they had the fountain aspect of it. So I did see the whole show afterwards. I watched the video of it. I personally, I thought it was a really solid show. And they actually, I will toot my own horn a little bit. They did have some projections on Helios. They did not have like happily ever after projections, but they did have like colored gradient projections onto it. I think now, I don't think it's as good to happily ever after, but I would say outside of happily ever after, this has got to be one of the better, nighttime shows we've seen in a theme park, in my opinion. What did you guys think about it?
Well, one of the things that I love about a lot of the California nighttime spectaculars, like our Fantasmic or World of Color, is that they take place in the park you experience during the day. One of the things I don't like about Florida's Fantasmic is you walk into like almost like a SeaWorld, like we're gonna watch Shamu on the metal bleachers vibe, right? I for some reason that just sucks all the whimsy out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like that. I like though, and I bring that up because this, like, Universal is doing what World of Color does and what Disneyland's Fantasmic does, where it's like, this is an area that is enjoyed during the day by guests, and it erupts at night in this great show. I thought it was a beautiful show. I love the fountains. I love the fireworks, the lighting on the Helios. I was fantastic. I know a lot of people are criticizing I was too busy. I don't know. I don't think it was. I mean, a lot of Disney fireworks shows are very busy. I mean, they got stuff flying around, and they got, I mean, some of these World of Color, these versions of World of Color are like, they throw everything at you at once.
It's wild.
Right, Vash? It's crazy. Yeah. So this I thought was a good balance. It was a lot, yes, but it wasn't to a point where it was like obnoxious. I thought it was beautiful. So yeah, kudos to Universal. And we also have to remember too, Universal, while they might be top tier right now with attractions, entertainment for me personally has never been their strong suit. So this is a huge step for Universal. I mean, massive step for them. Classy, elegant show. Man, I'm on it, dude. I love this, dude. So yeah, I haven't seen it in person though. So, I'm over here shilling and I haven't seen it in person, but I do think it looks beautiful. I really do.
Yeah. What do you think, Vash?
I liked it a lot. I saw it with Marvin this morning, who was there in the park, last night for its premiere right there. Apparently, Universal invited them, so that was really cool. They got to see it with Park Hop and Jay, Drunk 3PO, obviously, all of that. So really good stuff, and he was going on about it, with all the best compliments in the world. We saw the footage right there, saw the music, and to me, it looks absolutely fantastic. Like you said, Jared, I think a lot of people were concerned how much pyro was actually going to be featured just because of the description that we got. And hey, if you're a pyro fanatic, you're going to be very, very happy with what is on display here. We've seen from Disney in recent years this kind of, they've been maybe setting the priority elsewhere when it comes to these new shows, like on projections, like on drones in the international cases, like on water and all of that. Here, the pyro is the star, and I think your choice of where to actually see it, Jared. I think you chose correctly to see it from the pool right there. To see that pyro was actually really, really good stuff. The music choice, like OG said, I thought was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. They didn't throw everything at you. Sensational kind of does that a little bit. The New World colors really do that a lot. Here, you saw restraint. Right? You saw, hey, we're going to go ahead and lean into the park itself, almost like a Remember Dreams Come True. If you remember that, OG, back at the 50th anniversary, we're going to lean into the park that you're in. It's going to be the ultimate kiss goodnight. It's going to be the culmination of the story of your journey here at Epic Universe. I think that was a really, really great touch, really great win. And as Michael Aiello, who actually said, one of the people who actually worked on that, it was to do a nightly fireworks spectacular at Universal Studios Florida, the first time in decades, right there. A lot of tough nights right there, a lot of long hours, a lot of work that went into this, and I think it really paid off. This was the thing that Epic Universe needed, and it's awesome to see this on display.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it's kind of and I'll get your take on this, Conductor, as well. I feel, and it's funny you said people thought it was too much going on. I thought it was a pretty simple show. And I thought that was to its benefit. It was, I think we clocked it at around 10 minutes is maybe what so it wasn't, Happily Ever After is like, what, 20 minutes or something like that? So it was a simple show, but I think the fountain aspect with it and the fireworks, like watching them, if you're not going to go in the park, if you're staying at Helios, those fireworks by the pool are intense because you are like 100 yards away from that peninsula back there where they shoot them off from. And that, like this part you're watching right now, when that was going on, I thought I was staring into the sun. It was like, oh my gosh, it was so, and like you would just feel it in your chest. And that part where the sparkles, it sounded like a bunch of like hissing. It was like when it was coming down. It was kind of wild back there. I've never been that close to that big of a fireworks show. But I think all of it incorporated, like with the fountain. I agree. I think it was a very, you might even say it's more of an, I don't know if elegant's the right word, but it played well with the properties in the park. And it's
definitely focused, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something you can definitely build off of. Like they didn't start with drones. They didn't start with too much. You can add drones into this if you wanted to. You could add different projections into this if you wanted to. And so I definitely think it gives them a good starting point, especially like you were saying, OG, they've never done a nightly show like this on a regular basis. They've had Sensational that's, it's seasonal, but this is the first time they've ever done this level of a show on a nightly basis. I feel like it's a really good starting point for them. But what do you think about this Conductor in the show?
So actually it's quite interesting because I did a live stream last night with two buddies of mine, and we were reviewing footage from Dueling Park News. So we watched the video. I thought it was pretty impressive. My only gripe, and I say this very, very strongly, is looking at Sensational and seeing how much that show offers, and then looking at this, for all the posts we've seen from Epic Universe, testing out the show with what we saw at the grand opening, with the projection mapping, with the drones, seeing that the dragon, that big drone dragon flying around. I like that they're not starting off too heavy, but it begs the question, did they kind of pull a Disney and announce too much on social media? And then when the show debuted last night, people were expecting all this and then get what, Universal's been teasing. But on the other hand, though, I do think for what we got, it was amazing. But I do have concerns that maybe they shared a little too much on social media and it kind of underwhelmed the show in that aspect.
Well, what did they share exactly that we didn't get? Because I'm not really familiar with like what was shared. Like
so for example, like I said, with the grand opening, the media night, they had the drones, they had projection mapping, and then over time, since the park's open to now, they've shown footage, or people have shown footage of them testing like a big giant drone Phoenix in this fountain area.
Yeah, they definitely had some testing that I thought would show up in this now I guess to Universal's credit, they weren't really themselves promoting that. It was like people catching that, but there were definitely things that they have been testing that they did not have in this show, which I did find interesting.
Well, see, my whole thing, Jared, is, you know, obviously, like you said, Universal wouldn't be promoting it, but they had to have known people staying at the Helios or people standing right outside Epic Universe on the outside could see some of this testing going on late at night.
Right.
And they had to have known in the back of their mind that people were going to capture it, people were going to film it, people were going to post it online. So that's where I'm kind of just a little confused. But for what we got, I think it was well done. Like, I mean, I agree with OG. I would love to see this thing in person and get a final judgment. But from what I saw on video, I think it was well done. Because when you look at like Disneyland, OG knows this. Vash, you know this too. At Disneyland with Main Street USA, you got the projection mapping both on Main Street, on the castle. Then you have the either the Big Hero 6 character, or you have Tinkerbell flying across, you know, the castle. Then you have fireworks, then you have music. It's a lot to look at. Same with the World of Color. So I think the balance here was good. I was just concerned of what we got on media night, and I understand, you know, they want to go full board for the media, so they do things that probably they weren't really prepared for, but they kind of go over the top to impress, you know, media outlets and whatnot. But I kind of thought, being that we've been waiting for this show for so long, we wouldn't have seen that type of level of entertainment, like a little bit more. But I'm not saying I'm not impressed for what we got.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And people are mentioning in the chat. Oh, we lost Vash for a second. People were mentioning in the chat about, you know, Vegas vibes. I mean, you're not wrong. It definitely gives off Vegas vibes, but I don't even think that's a negative.
Oh, Vegas, I don't either. I said the same thing. I think the fountain is very, I think my wife put it, Bellagio coded.
Yeah.
And like, I think it works, especially like for Helios. It is definitely Vegas coded, that hotel, I would say. So I think it fits that. And from my perspective, it's like, if I was, let's say I was in charge of like, hey, we want you to design a new nighttime show. I think anytime you're doing something brand new, showing some restraint is not a bad thing, considering if you swing for the fences and say it doesn't go well, that's gonna be more of a headline than saying, okay, let's do a more tone, maybe you call it toned down show, do it well. And then, because they just hired these pyrotechnics people like probably a couple months ago. And I do think I caught some footage. They had a truck that was actually loading it up while we got to the hotel. I think they probably still have contract work going on for some of these things. So keep it more simple, get in a groove with it, and then you can start adding, like, you could add different projections, you could bring in drones. So I think they'll probably add to it. But for a first show, and you never really have done anything like this on this scale before, I was pretty impressed with it. And especially, like, I think it's a better show than, say, Wishes. And I think Wishes was a staple for Disney for a long time, at least the Disney World. So outside of Happily Ever After, they're different shows. I think Happily Ever After is probably still a better show, but like Storybook Sorceress brought up, where did her comment go? Let me find it here. Here we go. She said, I also think keeping under 15 minutes was a great choice. As a mother with a little one, Happily Ever After at 25 minutes is awesome, but borders on too long for the attention span of a small child. Yeah. Agreed, because my son is the same way. After like 10 minutes, he's like, I'm chilling. I don't really care about this anymore. So I think about 10 minutes is a good length. You can make it longer if you want, if you can justify it, but it's a solid show to end the day at a park that, you know, can feature the characters that you kind of interacted with, you know, throughout the day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, look, I mean, I'm trying to think back at some of the recent Disney nighttime spectaculars, right? And look, I mean, I know I'm being very optimistic about Universal right now, but like the Universal Kid Park in Texas, I was very critical about that. So I'm going to say how I actually feel, right? I think this is a really solid show. And I'm looking back at some of the recent Disney nighttime spectaculars. And it's kind of like, what have they done for us lately? You know, I mean, our conductor, you know, our latest World of Color, Happiness. I mean, really?
Yeah, that's
Like,
I mean,
at
this point.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, yeah, dude, they had a failure of a show with the barges in Epcot. Remember that whole thing?
Oh God.
With the big barges,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, that was
I always call that the Stargate because I always thought Kurt Russell was going to come out of that or something in the middle of the lagoon there.
well, yeah, that whole thing was a failure. Then I mean, then they had that I don't know. Then they had like the 50th anniversary fireworks at Walt Disney World, which really didn't go over well with fans either. So it's like I understand people kind of like looking at this Celestial Goodnight and being like, okay, it's not perfect, but honestly, if you look at really what Disney has done lately, they've been missing more than they've been hitting. Let's be real. Let's be honest.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
this is a good showing in my opinion. If you put this same show in Epcot, dude, it's incredible, man.
I totally agree. I think, well, in Epcot, I mean, outside of Happily Ever After, Disney's nighttime shows, at least at Disney World, have kind of been really hit and miss. Enchantment didn't go over well. You had multiple different shows at Epcot. I liked, what's the current one? Luminous? Is that the current one?
Yeah, Luminous.
What was the one before it? I'm trying to remember now.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Forever, I think, or something.
Yeah, something. It was.
See, was that good, huh?
Yeah, I know. It was okay. It had they had a temporary show there that has way more fireworks that I thought was a better show than what they had actually done going forward.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, I think this one is definitely up there. By the way, Vash's internet has went out, but he will be back. He said Disneyland Paris shows are better than average, but OG 55 is right. Yeah, I mean, I think this one, if you're Universal, you really couldn't ask for much more than having a solid first show here. And what's up, Rob? Rob White in here. Illuminations was originally my favorite nighttime spectacular. Illuminations was solid. And Illuminations, I believe, if I remember correctly, was supposed to be a temporary show that they just ended up sticking around for 20 years. So I think that if you're Universal, I'd take this as a win, give you building blocks. You do this show as it is for, I don't know. I mean, maybe they do it for a year, maybe 2 years. If people like it, you don't have to add to it. But I would imagine that, you know, they'll add some other elements to it and things like that. And so after the show, because we had the theme park view, you know, I did see them out there work. They were doing some work on the lighting that was shooting up at Helios and stuff like that. So a lot of work goes in the show, but I thought it was solid. I thought it was pretty impressive. And looking at the entire thing with the fireworks, I feel like all of it went together pretty well. And Helios as kind of like the center point of it, I thought was pretty cool. Like I thought it gave it a good, like, aesthetic to the show and things like that.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Being that you've talked about, you know, seeing the fireworks from the pool area, and being that you have now stayed at the Helios, you know, from 1 to 10, if we had to rate it on the scale, what would be your recommendation? Would you recommend people, you know, stay at the Helios, or what's your thought process on that?
I like Helios. The weakest part of Helios is the room itself. Weirdly enough, it's a very simple room. But if you get a theme park view, I mean, the view of in that room is doing all the heavy lifting. It's pretty amazing. I woke up this morning to being able to just see into it, and the views at night are really cool. It is a very, how do I put this? It has high-end touches, but it is kind of missing a little bit on like that. They're trying to go for that real Vegas Bellagio Aria type vibe. It doesn't quite. I've stayed at Aria. It doesn't hit that, but it's a very nice hotel. Very pricey, I will say. The food stuff in there is not, it's probably the most expensive on property. It is good. If you're going to go to, like we told our kids, like when we go to Epic next, we will stay at Helios because you can't beat how close that is. Like we didn't go into the park, but they have this observation deck. You're 15 feet away from walkways inside the park. Like you are right there. So it's almost like a tease not being able to go, or we just decided not to go into the park. But I would say it's if you're going to go to Epic, I think it's a solid choice. I wouldn't be mad at all about staying there. I don't think anybody would be upset by it. So I don't know where yet I rank it on, oops, we got him in there. Bash is back here. What's up, Bash? I don't know where I'd rank it yet in terms of Universal hotels. I really haven't broken that down in my head yet, but it's Yeah, I would say top 5 for sure. So it's definitely not a bad choice. I think it's the amenities are pretty solid. The location and the service, I will say, was great. I had no bad things about the service at all. So from the bellhops to the people checking you in to all the people around the hotel, they were really solid the entire time. So
That's good.
Yeah,
Because I kind of, you know, to kind of feed off of what you're saying about just the aesthetics inside, trying to go and going for that, you know, Las Vegas Bellagio look. I do concur with that, because when I walked in there and kind of looked around and filmed a little bit and went to the Helios bar on the top and went outside to the outdoor patio, I kind of got that vibe, and just the atmosphere, the customer service, it was all top tier. It was.
Yeah. No, the hotels in Vegas, even a lot of the entertainment in Vegas is top tier. And that's why I don't take it as an insult when people say this is Vegas. Yeah. I mean, I've said it before. You know what? Go to Disneyland Resort. Go to the Disneyland Hotel or Pixar Place Hotel, and then go to Vegas with their hotels and tell you which ones are better. You know, there's no comparison. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, you know, there just isn't. Vegas does great stuff with their hotels, and shows like this, like the Bellagio, beautiful stuff. So yeah, the Vegas vibe's 100%. A couple of things though I do want to say. Remy D brings up an interesting point here. Remy's saying we don't need to decide which is better, Disney or Universal. Let's just be happy Universal Orlando finally got a nighttime fireworks show. I agree with you to some extent, Remy, but I do think it is fair to compare, because people are comparing it. I mean, they're comparing this show to what Disney does.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think it's fair game when you have these two companies that are competing. Now, you know, I mean, you only to go so far with that because they are their own product. I get that. But I mean, is it really unfair to like say like, well, you know, this is comparable or not comparable to the Disney experience? I don't think it's unfair, but I'm curious what you guys think.
It's also inevitable that you're going to compare it, especially with Disney competing with Universal. So like, that's definitely going to be a thing there, undoubtedly. I guess it depends on how you view it. Like, to me, like we talked about, I think it's a solid show. I'm not personally expecting Universal to come out the gate with a happily ever after, and you're just like, oh, wow, like that was the craziest thing. Like, I think that this is a really smart way to do it, of like having these building blocks. So I guess in terms of my expectations, like I had pretty high expectations, but it maybe like I would have liked to have seen some of those things we saw tested that looked pretty cool, like that Phoenix that was in the fountain that people saw. Like that would have been awesome. And maybe that's something that they're going to do eventually. But for what it was, I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I think it met expectations, and I think it was, you know, I didn't have any complaints. And granted, I'm not going to be really super nitpicky about a fireworks show. I mean, I didn't like Luminous currently. I'm just like, it's okay. Like, I'm not mad about it, but I'm not going to stick around necessarily. Like, we saw the opening of it. I've never really had any desire to go watch it again. This one, I definitely want to go see it in the park, but I feel like this is one, if you're in Epic, it's like, yeah, and you got, you know, plenty of seating around the fountain, which is another cool aspect of this, is you have a different vantage point of this show versus the Disney show, I think. So, I mean, I think that it's a fair thing to say that, like, yeah, they've got a nighttime show now, but the comparisons are going to be there just because it's the internet. But I don't think it's a wide gap from what we saw from what Disney does either. So I think they pretty much did pretty well. But go ahead, Vash.
Oh, I mean, from my vantage point, it's like it's okay to acknowledge when a industry player raises the bar, no matter who they are, right? And I think in the modern era, I think OG is exactly right. I think, you know, I think this raised the bar for what people actually want, what actually people, resonate when it comes to a nighttime show like this. And really recently, Coach is exactly right. The recent offerings from Disney just haven't been that great. Anybody remember Rivers of Light? Nobody? Yeah, nobody does either, apparently. But Harmonious, right? That show did so poorly that they had to remove that because it was eaten into business along World Showcase Lagoon right there. So they had to replace that with Luminous and all of that. Obviously Enchantment recently, right? The 50th anniversary fireworks spectacular for Walt Disney World, that wasn't seen as really great, and that's why a lot of people campaign for Happily Ever After to return. So, and then, you know, World of Color, the various multiple versions of that, and what is it, the Mickey fireworks, it's just not good. It's just not good. Now, Wondrous Journeys, very, very good. There have been some hits, maybe in Paris and so forth, but overall, I think it's a little bit below average. And I think Epic has kind of reset that scale just a little bit. They've shown, hey, look, listen, just give us a nice, classy, elegant fireworks show that really leans into the park itself. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles. It just has to be really, really solid, which this is. And I think that's good enough. And I think I think this will do its job, which of any entertainment spectacular is to extend people's day out, right? If you get higher, dinner reservations at your restaurants in and around Celestial Park or in Epic Universe, if you get more merchandise sales from it, all of that is a win. And I think this accomplishes that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And the reality of the situation is that these two companies are competing. And to pretend like they're not, right, is kind of, I think, putting our head in the sand. There are people that will book vacations and they come to Central Florida and they're going to compare. This is their money they're spending. They will compare. So I think as fans, it's good to compare too and kind of see where we're at. Like, and really, like I've said, I'm hard on Disney with this in particular because I haven't seen much from Disney lately that has blown me away. I'm sorry, I haven't. Wondrous, I will say, the fireworks show for Disneyland for the 100th anniversary of the company, that was spectacular. That is probably, and Vash, you can atone to this. I mean, that show is like a work of art. Okay,
absolutely.
That is an incredible piece. I mean, that is crazy. But by and large, and you laid it out beautifully, Vash, a lot of the stuff they've done, and a lot of it in Florida, has not been great. And that's just the reality of it. And Disney is seeing that it's not that great because they've had to swap these things out. I mean, how many Lagoon shows has Epcot had in the last decade, right?
Illuminations they had that for 20 plus years. I believe they've had at least two before. Yeah, it's like the third one, I think, that they're on now. They tried Enchantment. That quickly got changed back to Happily Ever After. So I think they struck gold with Happily Ever After, and maybe Wish has stuck around for 20 plus years as well. So these shows don't have to change a lot. Like, it's kind of simple. Like, if it works, it works. And so I think if this does what Universal wants, like Vash was saying, like, if you have more restaurant reservations, if people are staying around longer, if they see revenues go up, the show is doing what it's supposed to do. Now, if it doesn't hit that mark, I think, we talked about last week with the spinoff happening with Comcast. I think you may see Universal get a little bit more aggressive with monetization, given now they're going to have their own company, ideally, unless, obviously anything can happen. But I think this is, you test this. Then if this doesn't quite do what you're wanting to do, maybe then you see an open Celestial Park concept and other things. But this is the first step. And honestly, too, this is kind of Universal graduating into what I would call a big boy park, because I think people expect a nighttime show at like a Disney park. So Disney and Universal, if you look at their ticket sales, like on their day tickets, they're not that far off. But what Disney just has is the infrastructure, all the
hotels,
the hotels, all the things they have into that resort to add them more money. And Universal, I think, is going to start down that path, which we're going to talk about another story that's, obviously very similar to what Disney does. So I think this is kind of their first step into, okay, Epic is now, this is our flagship park. We're throwing our hat in the ring here. And like you were saying, Vash, this may force Disney to be like, oh, okay, we need to do some different stuff here, things like that. So I think in theme parks and nighttime shows, competition's great. In life in general, competition is awesome. And I think it just brings out the best in both companies.
And anybody working on this show to bring it to life, from Universal Creative or Universal Entertainment, right? They are not building this in a vacuum either. They understand that there will be comparisons made. They understand that they work in a market in which, they're often going to be compared to Universal, and they're trying to create a compelling product that actually elicits visitation. They understand the stakes. They understand what has come before, and this is all an acknowledgement of that. I think it's a fantastic acknowledgement. I think they really did do something that if not raise the bar, at least set a revised standard on what people actually want from a fireworks show.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, I'm excited to go back and check it out. In the park, see the full view. But like we're seeing from this footage here, I mean, I think it's really interesting when you look at it from like this perspective, the way they shot those fireworks off, at least from my OCD brain. it all lines up really well. And I'm like, man, that's nice. Like, it is all uniform. And I think the fountain is something that some people kind of take for granted on this show, but like, that is an element of this show that is unique, is this massive fountain that goes along with all this stuff that does give it its own unique feel and vibe to it, and throw the fireworks in there. And, it's a very unique, cool show that and like you said, like, this part would be really cool if they did have those things they were testing, which I imagine they'll probably do at some point. But,
See, I'm going to say this though. It's interesting because when we do the comparison, Remy D actually had an interesting point in the chat. It's us theme park nerds and people that actually pay attention to the details. Me and OG have talked about it. The soccer mom families, as he likes to call them, they don't really care about these details. They care, okay, I'm paying this amount of money to go into the park. Is the offerings there to justify the price? They don't really get into the nitty gritty like we do, but I get why there is a comparison, because when you think about it, that's kind of the justice that we serve as content creators, bringing these details to light and kind of getting to the point where we break it down, and in the long run, we benefit from it and everyone else benefits from it, because then the companies look at it and like, okay, we're looking at some of these reviews, we're looking at people talk about it online. How can we better the entertainment than what we had before? So in all reality, at the end of the day, we all win.
Yeah,
but for soccer mom families, they don't pay attention to those details.
Well, and one thing I'll just add before you go, Joe, I was going to say, one thing that this show will do is justify more of the price point of this. Like, you might feel like you're getting more of a value because now you have this added onto your ticket. And so, like you were saying with the soccer moms, it's like, oh, you have this and that. Oh, okay. So like, a lot of times in that group, it's like, you're right, they're not breaking this stuff down like we are, but they're just looking at like, okay, fireworks show here, oh, that has this, and like, they walk away being like, did they have a good time? And they may not get into like, oh, the fireworks, and they may not do the direct comparison, so they'd be like, no, it was fun, and they may not be able to like really verbalize exactly why. But and I think this show probably serves that. Go ahead, OG.
Oh no, yeah, you're 100%. And this also, if this can kind of stave off the open hub concept, and people stay later because of this show, and they start buying food and merch at night. I mean, that's a plus right there, 100%. So we'll kind of see how it shakes out. But yeah, and also I do want to say too, in regards to comparison, you wouldn't be getting a Villain's Land, you wouldn't be getting a Piston Peak, you wouldn't be getting a lot of stuff that Florida is getting right now, if not for this park right here. Because I'm telling you right now, they are very bullish right now on the Florida parks. You can feel the energy. It's different, and it's different because they are competing with Universal, and that's good. We win as Disney fans. We win because Disney now feels like, okay, we gotta show up now, So that's a good thing. That is absolutely a good thing. I'm telling you, like we've talked about it a lot on my channel, where it's like the energy with the Florida projects. You can tell they're putting their best foot forward with the Monstropolis, the Villain's Land. They're really going in for these because they know they have to now. The stakes are much, much higher. So if we hold their feet to the fire when it comes to entertainment as well, is say, hey, look, Disney, the last 6 out of 8 projects haven't been that great, that'll just motivate them to do better. And we win in that regard. So I'm not too worried about hurting their feelings. I just want a better product, Yeah,
100%, especially knowing they're capable of it. And it's just like, and I would argue too, like, where has something where there's a lack of competition, where you really got an innovation? Typically that comes from competition, people pushing each other. That's whenever, I mean, look at even like wrestling back in the day. It was the best when it was WWF and the WCW. And once you got rid of the WCW, it all kind of got bland. And so I think competition, this is why I love competition, because it does force people to improve and one up each other. And even if it's friendly, you still want to beat your friend. Like growing up with my brother, I still wanted to beat my brother in everything to this day. Doesn't mean I don't like my brother. We get along just fine, but competition, it kind of brings that out of you. So I think that's a solid thing there. Personally.
Absolutely.
But we do have some super chats to catch up on real quick here. We have Julie. I'm going to get this right at some point. Julie Axelrod. I think I got it right for 1999. Thank you, Julie. Checking into Disney in 10 days, then Grand Helios. What do you advise for the best view for the nighttime experience at Epic? So looking at, I would say right where this video is right here, looking at Helios, if you can get pretty straight on or somewhere around that, that's going to be your best view. I did see people, we were in a room and people were sitting here where they were facing like their backs were to the hotel. And I'm like, you're not going to be able to see, they're going to have to turn around the whole time. So if you're able to get on this side of that, that's going to be your best bet. So if you want a really intense fireworks only show, go by the pool. Because like that right here, this is my footage here. Those fireworks, when they're going off, you feel them in your chest. Like they are very intense right there. So it is kind of cool to get that aspect of it. But yeah, that's what I would say is on that side of the fountain there. And then Hidden Geek Village for 5 said, "Hey OG, loved the fresh baked video. Hope he is open to more."
Yeah, no, that would be a lot of fun, Hidden Geek. I appreciate you checking it out. It was great having Dave on there talking, Disneyland Resort, DCA, third park, all that stuff. So I appreciate you, Hidden Geek, for checking it out. It was a really, really good time. And Dave is always welcome back on the channel. Would love to talk shop. And we have a lot coming up too. We got D23 very, very soon. So
that's true. That is very true. That is awesome. And Mr. Theme Park Conductor gifted 5 Theme Park Conductor memberships. You know who got those, by the way, Conductor?
Actually, I do. I have the list. Here we go. So we got Adam Holt Avengers. We got Greetings 321. We got Leo Garcia D34. We got Genterson, and the last one I can't even pronounce because it's in Japanese. But I hope they all enjoy Theme Park Conductor membership content.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And we also have a 10 here from Mr. Cliff Flicks. Thank you, Cliff. He says it's 100% fair to compare shows and attractions in the industry. Our only exception is comparing Tokyo Disney and Disney Seas to any U.S. parks. That's not fair to U.S. parks at all. Tokyo slaughters.
I mean, to be fair, Japan slaughters everybody and everything.
It kind of does. Yeah. I was telling my wife the other day, like, if I had to move to any other country, it probably would just be Japan. I feel like I would just, Japan seems like they're kind of living in the future in some aspects. But yeah, that's probably fair. I haven't been to Japan parks myself yet, but what I've seen of them and talked to people that have been, I really haven't heard any negatives, which is kind of wild.
And I do want to say too, and this is a little bit off topic, but kind of on topic as well. Japan went all out for the 250th anniversary of America. And that was really cool to see, man. They were doing fireworks shows. They were lighting up all their skyscrapers, red, white, and blue. And there was a lot of Japanese people on like X showing love to us here in America. So I thought that was really cool. They are like our greatest ally.
They are.
So,
they're like back in the day we really beat on our younger brother, like really bad. But this case, it was really, really bad. And then later on, they're like, we're cool. It's fine. Like,
we're good.
We're friends now. Like, okay. But that's a fair point. Then we have, let's see, Camon's Island podcast for a 5. Thank you, Camon's Island. If I got that wrong, let me know. But because I live in Bama and we are premier pass holders, always was curious if your rates are lower, Jared, because you live in Florida. I believe they are a little bit lower. I believe so. We do the flex pay, and there are Florida resident rates, so it is a little bit cheaper. But one thing about Universal that Disney doesn't do is for Disney APs to do the monthly payments, you have to be a Florida resident. Universal, I think it's still the case at least. It doesn't matter where you live, you can do the flex pay, which is kind of nice. Because before we lived in Missouri and we had the AP to Disney, at the time. It's much more now, but at the time, dropping a couple of $1,000 on a couple of APs was kind of rough there.
Well, it's a big deal, and that's what I like about Universal is that they allow you to do that. My mind was blown when I learned about that. I was like, really? And it's like, ooh, I might be doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go a step farther because OG knows this, being that we're both Universal pass holders. Okay, so let's say you sign up for the contract. you have the 12-month payment plan, whatever. After the 12 months, you can still keep your annual pass and you're not tied to a contract, not like you are with Disney,
Correct.
where
Yeah.
once the contract's over, you have to sign up for another contract.
Yeah,
Right.
you just
It goes month to month.
Yes.
We've been a month for a long time. Yeah, that is true. And like, yeah, if you run, like, I know some people, if you fall behind payments, some people talked about, once your thing ends, your month to month, it's just like, it's it. You can just start a new one, and people do that too. So it's a little bit more, it's a little easier, I would say, in terms of that and different price points there. But yeah, so I think it's a little cheaper for Florida. I'll have to look. I think I saw you on X. Send me a DM and I'll look and see what my pricing is. And then we can compare to what your pricing is for Premier, because I can't remember off the top of my head, because again, we do monthly, so I'm not really sure exactly what that total comes out to. But let's go ahead. Before we go, you guys, anything you want to add about the fireworks show here?
No, I just want to give a big shout out to Red Bandana Gaming. That's all.
What's up, Red Bandana?
I like
So
that.
we just buy our Disney passes out right now.
Dang.
Not all of us are so fancy, Logan. Okay,
I would love that.
Logan's good people. What's up, Logan? Okay, let's talk about, and then I'm going to introduce this story, and then I'm going to go tell my kids good night real quick, because I missed story time last night, so they've been really mad at me all day because we were out of town. But yeah, I know. I don't want my daughter was not happy about we didn't play Fall Guys. We played a little Fall Guys today, and she was like, "Why did you leave?" I was like, "It was less than 24 hours." But anyways, all right, let's talk about Universal Hollywood, and we got an interesting article here from Mr. Theme Park Wizard, who I talked to before this. Give me a little bit of lowdown here. It says Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift is delayed yet again at Universal Studios Hollywood, and apparently there is some issues that they're running into with this ride during the testing, finding out some of the things that were involved with the cracking of the those window panes that we saw before. And now it looks like this might open maybe August is what maybe this is alluding to now. But I'm going to kick this to you guys, and then I will hop in after I get done with bedtime here. But talk away.
There we go. Yeah, this is not good news. I mean, I'm not even a coaster junkie, but I've been really looking forward to this because I've been watching this thing go up at the park. It looks incredible. Conductor and Vash, all three of us have been at the park together watching this thing. It's really cool. But apparently, Conductor, something fell off the ride.
I saw that because I had the live stream last night, and actually Wizard popped in for a little bit in the DM, and he was saying, I think it was a spoiler from one of the cars fell off, and then he was saying, because another buddy of mine, I think it was the other day, because they've had team members riding the coaster right before it goes back into the load station. Some of the team members were stuck for over an hour in the restraint system because it wouldn't release, so they had to get some type of little, and you can kind of see it from videos on social media. One of the team members, the ride operators, had to get like this almost like jump starter that you see like with a vehicle when you break down,
battery pack,
had to hook it to the damn ride vehicle to release the restraint. It's like, what is that? You know what I mean? So you got pieces of the ride vehicle falling off. You have restraint systems not releasing. Then you have, cracked glass on the screen shield. It's like, what's going on here? Meanwhile, you look at Universal Orlando, every single day they're adding like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 pieces of track per day. It's like almost to the point where it's like, okay, are they going to get the complete track layout done before ours even opens? That's what the concern is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that. I mean, ours is technically more ambitious because we also have to remember they had to terraform an entire hill to put this thing on there. So that adds a level of a level of difficulty that's going to be different. That's a lot harder than what they're doing in Florida, but this is not good news though. I mean, to be running this coaster and something falls off the car like that. I mean, this is going to be, and now we're hearing maybe August. That's not good news, fam. Go ahead, Vash.
By the way, this is why I brought up that glass breaking story with Alan, because I was like, if this is a coaster related issue, be concerned, because we know that they just can't risk anything, coming off and potentially hitting gas. You just cannot risk it. And what Wizard alleges here in his report, which, by the way, everybody should absolutely check out, is that like a spoiler or some kind of accoutrement from the actual cars themselves actually, separated and made that impact, at least allegedly. So the bird running into a theory, maybe not so much. And so that's what may have caused this most recent delay. I will say, very interesting stuff, because it was just reported earlier today that apparently the Hollywood Drift has been added to Universal Studios Hollywood app, currently listed as under, quote, other attractions. Yes. So some people, excited about maybe getting a technical rehearsal out of this. But I will say, I mean, with the problems that Alan actually mentioned from Almighty Coasters and otherwise, the fact that they can't seem to necessarily get these turning consistently is a little bit of a concern. Like theme park conductor said, the fact that you had to have like a battery pack in order to potentially let people out of their restraints right there, that's not good, because there are some places along the coaster itself, along brake zones and everything else, where that could become a problem. That could become an issue, and an hour maybe turns into 2 or 3 if you're looking at having to trek out to various vantage points where people might be stopped. So it's concerning. I'm hopeful that these are, that they can overcome these issues. But again, this is a very ambitious coaster, as OG mentioned. This is a very sizable coaster. It is the first of its kind from Intamin. You're gonna have issues, and well, It's Intamin, so there you go.
Well, let me ask you, Vash, being that you said that, being what we saw was Stardust, do you think alongside with them, following regulations of doing all this ride testing and the hours spent doing this ride testing, do you think Universal's taking the extra precaution because of what happened with Stardust, now that we are kind of reporting that a piece from one of these ride vehicles actually fell off and cracked that glass? If that is the case, do you think Universal's really taking that very serious?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, they have taken things like this seriously ever since they had metal detectors to every single one of their coasters, especially out there in Florida and everywhere else, right? Because of the instance related to dueling dragons back in the day, with the guy with the one eye losing his good eye because of an object being flung. I mean, that's no good. I think it's the totality of issues leading to this moment in which Universal's taking this ultra seriously. And I do think you're right. I think maybe a little bit of Stardust has something to do with this as well. I think there's no question about that. Now, I think, is Universal a little bit more confident in Intamin than Mac? Yes.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's no comparison now.
No.
But it's an Intamin coaster, and Intamin's known to be very ambitious, but they're also known for doing these ambitious coasters in such a manner that, could lead to some operational issues, whether either before, during, after, or all three.
Well, let me ask you both. OG, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Being that it might be delayed in August, being that, obviously D23 is going to be at the beginning of August. And I said on my live stream last night, I said, there is a possibility. I don't think they'll open it during D23 weekend. That's ridiculous. What I think Universal could do as a sneaky move, they could say, we're going to do the grand opening maybe that Monday or Tuesday right after D23, because you have to think about it. D23 brings in so much fan base across everywhere. United States, out of the country, everyone flies in for this Disney event that comes every 2 years. I think it would be very smart and wise for Universal to kind of tap into that, crowd base and, have the grand opening on that Monday or Tuesday, why everyone possibly could still be in town.
That's a great point, conductor, and that wouldn't be a bad idea. Obviously, you don't want to open it like the weekend of, right?
No.
Because all your media and all your influencers who would report on this thing are going to be busy at D23. But the Monday after, I mean, you have people from around the country at D23. They can stay an extra day or two and check out the new coaster. So that wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea, you know? So, well, what do you think about that, Vash? Do you think that might be the move to maybe in and around D23, not maybe that weekend, but maybe right before or right after?
I mean, I think ideally they'd like to go before. I think Wizard brings up a good point with this coaster as well. Halloween Horror Nights already guaranteeing access with or on Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift, and I believe at Universal Studios Hollywood that starts in September 3rd. So it's kind of like it's crunch time now.
It is.
if you've sold tickets potentially, guaranteeing access to this coaster. I mean, that's a kind of a big deal right there. So sooner the better. It wouldn't surprise me if they position this around D23 Expo. That makes some sense. But I think right now it's just, I mean, you've already kind of lost all major parts of the summer. I think, months ago it was kind of like, okay, well, we need to get this up by the July 4th to 50th. But now that's passed. And so like every single day is, I think Universal gets a little bit more worried how much more of 2026 they'll lose because of these delays.
Yeah. No, 100%. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, conductor.
No, I was going to agree with Vash because when you look at it, okay, Halloween Horror Nights, people are going there for the Halloween event. Yep. Something like this, as thrilling and new as this is, I don't think people are going to make this a priority. They're paying to go experience Halloween Horror Nights. So I agree with Vash. They had a great opportunity to do a soft opening for the 250th, and they didn't do it. So now it's crunch time because, like Vash said, there are certain tickets for HHN that give you access to this coaster. Not every ticket offering gives you access. So if they can't fix these critical issues before then, and they kind of, drop the ball even more and can't have the coaster open by then, that's even more of a concern. You know what I mean?
It is. And there seems to be a number of issues right now with Universal with projects, right? So we're obviously seeing this, which, most attractions have issues early on, but this is pretty significant, let's be honest. But even like the hotel that they're supposed to build, like that's been kind of what's going on with that, right? And
that's silent.
Yeah, the whole hotel thing, and then you have the what is it called, the what's the cookie shop? Is it Nocturnal Cookie? Insomnia.
Insomnia, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with that. And so there are some projects here that are kind of like, in this limbo right now, which is concerning. So, but this is the most concerning, I think. They got to get this thing nailed out. And it's a safety issue because they've already had several months of Stardust Racers bad press. They do not need another situation. God forbid anyone gets hurt on this thing too. That would not be good for anybody. But go ahead, Vash.
No, I it's really interesting commentary. I know, like in the short term, I think they'll get these issues worked out. I do think we'll get this thing open. They've been testing quite regularly. They've been pretty, rigid with that. I'm really hoping for technical rehearsals. Very, 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 very soon. We've seen people on and off this thing. I do think they'll figure this out, but you really make some great points, OG, when you look at the future of Universal, especially as they split from Comcast, what does that look like capital expenditure wise? What does Universal UK look like? I mean, that's kind of one of my concerns, just in the foreground. And I don't know. I mean, I think Intamin obviously wants this thing to be rock solid, because this is one of 3 now. So you have Fast and Furious, Hollywood Drift at Hollywood, California. You also have it at Universal Studios Florida, and we're all hearing that they're going to use the same ride system in Space Mountain Earthrise in Japan. So it's kind of like we got to get this solid. We got to get we have to make sure we can actually meet what our proprietors want from us.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Vash, and you make an excellent point on that. Being with Space Mountain in Tokyo is, I think a lot of people here in the U.S., because we've all talked about it, how how Tomorrowland at Disneyland, especially, is just it's in rough shape, and I'm kind of holding hope when they open the new revision Tomorrowland out in Tokyo. It's gonna kind of maybe boost the idea of maybe just starting over with our Tomorrowland, even possibly our Space Mountain. As much as people love our Space Mountain, I've heard the Magic Kingdom Space Mountain is just rougher than rough. But
that thing needs to be sponsored by Excedrin, because that thing.
No kidding. That's what I've heard. But the fact that their Space Mountain is going to have this type of technology, I couldn't agree with you more. They have to figure out the issues, work out the details, and get this technology, this new ride system up and running. Because I will tell you this, a lot of people, since the Stardust incident, they're very weary on coasters, just in general. And something like this, where people are tuning into our channels, we're reporting that it's having these issues, even though it's in testing mode. They're working out all the kinks. It doesn't make people feel that much safer when you have stuff flying off cars. You have people team members stuck in restraint systems for over an hour. It doesn't make people feel that comfortable.
Well, it's also what happens when you're building major attractions with more of a spotlight on you too. I mean, if you think about the years prior, Universal could be doing this when there was as much competition, or maybe they weren't looked as upon as what they are now, and flown under the radar a bit. But now whenever you are, spending the money you're spending, taking the chances you're taking, it kind of comes with the territory. And this is, I will say, this is why you do testing, is to figure out these issues and fix them. Right. So this is why you do this stuff, and just don't open it. And just, you find, the worst thing you could have happen is you open this up with guests on it, and then you have major issues. Yeah. So in many ways, like I said this in the Stardust incident, I have never seen anything from Universal nor Disney that has made me question the safety of their rides. I think that they both take them very seriously, because they kind of have to. Because if they did not take safety seriously, and I'm not, I think there's critiques about Disney and some of their maintenance and things of that nature, but there's a lot of money on the line if something were to happen. Obviously, we saw the Stardust Racers incident. That ended up being a situation where the guests should not have ridden that attraction, and that's what caused that whole issue. But I don't know, like, I wouldn't point to this and say it's not, like, questioning Universal safety. I would just say you're dealing with a brand new coaster. Intamin does have some issues from time to time. We saw this with Hagrid's when it first opened. It went through some rough patches. So usually with Intamin, once they're set up and they get all the kinks worked out, they're solid coasters. It's just sometimes they do have some of these tendencies in the early stages of development or construction of kind of working through some of these systems. But
my whole thing is to kind of credit OG though. Okay, OG makes an excellent point. When you do a comparison, and again, here we go again with comparisons. When you do a comparison from the Hollywood to the Orlando park, they had to make extra moves, and meaning during construction, to terraform a hill which this coaster sits on, compared to Florida, where it's all flat ground. and they don't have to worry about those issues, so they can move at such a faster pace on putting the coaster together and possibly maybe not even running into these issues. Like, for example, okay, when you look at Forbidden Journey, okay, when you look at Forbidden Journey in Florida, a lot of people have said, Jared, I think you might have been one of them, said that version, which is the first version of that ride, has had issue upon issue upon issue upon issue. But then when you look at ours, which I think was the second or third iteration of that ride system, we don't have as much issues as you guys have. Now, looking at some like this, again, we don't know what the Florida one's going to be like when they start ride testing and all that. But if you think about it, this is our version of that Harry Potter ride. We are the first generation of this ride system. So could we be looking at another Harry Potter situation where we might have a little more issues than you guys might have in Florida, being that, one, it's on a hillside, two, it's the first iteration of its ride system, and you guys have time to kind of work out the kinks because you're still putting the coaster together. We're at the stage now where we're having team members ride the thing out here.
That's a great point, Conductor. And also, to your point too, Jared, the scrutiny, the amount of eyeballs on this particular project. Alan from Almighty Coasters and myself were at Universal on Friday, this past Friday, right? And we spent a significant amount of time. There's like a little overlook over by the Minions area where you can look at this whole thing. You get a great view of it all. And we were there for a while, dude. A while, Alan and I. But not only was it Alan and I, this spot right here actually is where we were. There were probably 15 people or so in that spot. We had team members checking out the construction and the testing. There were guests over there looking at it. And we were there was Rewrite Raptor, which is a new content creator I just met, who's a really cool guy. I enjoyed him a lot. But there were a lot of people there watching this project just that random Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, so the eyeballs on this thing, people are watching this thing like a hawk. And
I think what Conductor describes here, that's just the industry. Version 2 is always going to be better than version 1, going to be better than version 3. I mean, look at like X2 or X versus Ejinaika in Japan. SNS Aero took a look at what Aero left, and it was like, okay, there are some big problems. Let's go ahead and really work these out for the second version. Indiana Jones going from oil-based hydraulics in Indiana Jones Adventure at Disneyland versus completely electric hydraulics in Japan. And it's just that this is just gonna happen. It's just this is the first gen, and there will be some problems. And I think Universal Studios Florida, the Intamin there, will have learned from this and will adapt. And we've even seen Intamin do this, multiple times. Like, for example, going from Accelerator to Top Thrill Dragster to King Ka back in the day. So they always iterate. I think that's what's going to happen. I think we will figure this out. I think it is, this is something that's going to be overcome. But just by its very nature, on a hillside, first of its kind, it's going to have issues. But like Jared said, that kind of goes to the territory of Intamin, and I think we'll have maybe years in operationally. I think this might be pretty solid. I do wonder though, with the Comcast split, how enthusiastic, let's say, Universal will be going forward in this test and adjust period with some of these more ambitious coasters. Do they pull back and don't go cutting edge all the time and go with what works, or do they keep trying to get on the bleeding edge of things? That's going to be interesting to see.
That's a great point, Vash. And the other thing too that I want to say, and this might get a little controversial because anytime I bring up the pirate animatronic, it's a little controversial. But but I'm going to say the same thing about this that I did about the pirate animatronic. Now, this is obviously cooler than that. I will totally concede that. But I like when these companies take risks. I would rather have Universal be in this position, taking a risk and having to work the kinks out because they're pushing the envelope, or even new animatronics having to work those kinks out because they're pushing an envelope, than have Universal and Disney rest on their laurels and say good is good enough.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd rather have them have to work because really, yes, there's going to be a delay for this coaster. Absolutely. It probably won't open until August. But once it's open, you have an amazing attraction now forever. And people forget the delay. Like once it opens, the delay doesn't even matter anymore, right?
Yeah. Well, and to Jose's point, the never buy a first generation product rule applies to rides as well. I think that's that's a valid thing if you're talking about new tech, especially. Like, I personally don't buy the first iteration of something I'm wanting because that's typically the one that you work out the kinks on. But when you want to be cutting edge, you know, you do some give and take there a little bit. So I agree with your sentiment, though, OG. Like, I would rather see them push boundaries, have some but learn. As long as you're learning from your misses and, you know, you can apply that going forward, I would say I'm kind of those people. It's like you only fail if you quit. And so like an individual thing can be a failure, but it can lead you to what we learned from this to apply to something in the future. But, and also Rob, shout out to Rob again, says no opening will be worse than the original Jaws at Universal Studios Florida. That's probably a very
true.
That's a very safe thought.
Yeah. Now
Jared,
Jared,
lawsuits over that, you know.
Yes.
Jared brings up an interesting point, though. By the way, Jared has a great YouTube channel. Everybody check him out and support him. But he's saying, and this is a fair point he brings up, the delay does affect people from out of town. And they said summer and still no date. I'd be frustrated if I was coming from far away. That's a really good point.
True.
I agree with that.
Although I suppose they didn't put an exact date. Well, other than the typo they had, then they pulled it back. But I suppose they didn't put I agree with that. But I suppose it's like Disney when they'll say like it's coming in 2026. Maybe that's going to be December 15th, 2026. But it's coming nonetheless. Oh, go ahead.
This is why Universal doesn't do that, by the way. This is why Universal's really opaque about these openings right until they're confident they can have it ready and they can fulfill the date, because they know that this affects travel plans and everything else. It's heartbreaking that this isn't, you know, open by now. But I mean, they're trying.
And actually, I think if memory serves me correct, fellas, summer actually can reach all the way to September the 21st.
It's deep, dude. Summer gets shafted, by the way. Can we listen? Summer started late June, July 4th hits, and everyone's like, well, you're like, what? We just started, and then Halloween's already at Costco now. I'm like, okay,
it is. Hey, I could contest to that. We have a whole section on our floor already of Halloween decor.
I know.
To that.
But here's the thing that bothers me too about that whole Halloween thing. It's like everyone's cool with Halloween starting super early. Like it's going to be starting in July next year. Okay. It creeps up every year. But man, you mentioned Christmas a day before Thanksgiving and everyone's like flipping out over it.
Nah, see, we put it up right after Halloween. It's Christmas all over our house. Because I'm the same way. I was like, you know what? I love Christmas. I'm not going to be bullied into how I decorate my house. So yeah, day after Halloween, Christmas goes up. You know, I think it's fair. I agree. If Halloween can encroach, you know, what's Christmas left to do here? You know, we can over.
When two holidays collide.
There you go. Exactly.
God,
that was a good movie promo voice, man. When two movies collide, or you gotta have a cool name for it though.
Oh man, you know what? We should have had
construction. Go ahead.
We should have had conductor do that when he woke up.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been perfect.
You get Sam Elliott to voice it. You're just like, brought to you by Coors Light.
Dude, you should have audio sampled that. That would have been perfect.
I should. I'll try. I'll see what AI can do for me there. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, again, this, like we said, I do say, and I agree with Vash. I think you have a lot more variables with this thing being built the way it's been built on that hillside. That probably has a way more things I got to think about versus the one in Florida. Because again, one in Florida, it's already been graded. It's a flat area. There's not as many different things you got to worry about with this one. Now, I don't know what causes spoilers to fly off necessarily in construction, but you know, it's stuff like this where how bad would this be if this ride opened and then that happened? You know, like this would be
really
like
bad.
all over everything.
Ooh.
Really
And
bad.
that's just the stuff where it's like, yeah, you're going to take a little bit of a PR hit here, but it's not going to be near as bad as it would be if you rush this, because you're like, well, if we don't meet the deadline, people are going to be mad. And then you make, you know, it's like one mistake leads to more mistakes. Sometimes you're going to be willing to be like, we're going to take a little bit of heat here, but we get it right. And like OG said, if this thing's open late, it opens late. But if it opens late to people loving it, no one's going to remember the
No.
delay.
Well,
You know?
see, that's interesting you say that, because when Super Nintendo World opened in Hollywood, and I think I remember doing a live stream with you fellas. Bash, I don't think you were around at the time, but when it first opened and people were walking into the land, you look at the rolling hills and it looked like some construction worker took a hammer and started, you know, making all these dings in the hills. And then you look at some of the wall structures from the ground, you have chunks of the wall coming off, and you see spackle.
Yeah.
And you know, this chicken wire. It's like, what the hell is this? And then you see mechanics with covers off. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Intamin Girl is saying, do we know where the spoiler fell off? I feel like we would have heard more about it. And then she continues to say, but Theme Park Wizard does know his stuff. Wizard is really good. Yeah, he's on it with this Universal stuff. So if he's reporting on it that's what happened, it's likely that's what happened.
I mean,
apparently,
go ahead.
No, apparently it was the broken glass. That was the cause of it. So, you know, it could have just scooped in, hit the hill, and you know, it maybe perhaps wouldn't have been picked up immediately. But then you find a piece somewhere, and it's like, wait a second, or you notice, you know, there's a piece missing on your coaster car, and then it's like, wait a minute, hang on here, what happened?
Well, I guess it could go into as well, like these are very unique coaster cars. You typically don't have roller coasters that look like cars, and so maybe it could be the construction, could be, oh, we didn't account for the wind forces on this. So it is a cutting edge ride that is gonna, you know, obviously we're seeing some various different issues here, but stuff like that you can fix. You can reinforce spoilers to where they're not going to have those issues. So once that happens, you know, once you probably can fix it, but we'll see. I mean, I think this is going to be I'm curious how this is going to help Hollywood. I think it's going to do nothing but help it. And I think having both this West Coast and East Coast version is going to be really interesting to see. But yeah, I do hope it opens soon. And I know all the people on the West Coast are super excited about it. So,
well, I'm going to add one little thing to that, Jared, because I think it is going to help Hollywood. But like Vash was saying, with the merge split between Comcast, Universal, and then the Parks division, it makes me wonder, you know, for the theme park, what the next project's going to be and how fast they're going to move on it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what Jared's bringing up. He's like, when do you think we're going to get our next attraction? Which is a great point, Jared, because what you were saying too, Conductor, where it's like, this is finishing up, but we haven't heard anything about another attraction. And now Comcast is separating from Universal. So when will we see something?
Well, see, it's interesting that Jared brings that up. And you bring that up, OG, because when you mentioned earlier about the Orlando projects, both at Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando, the timeline is a lot different out there because there's real competition compared to out here, where you have a half-day park going against a giant like Disneyland, where you have Disneyland and DCA, and that's partially why I kind of feel like Disneyland, you know, as a park resort, is not moving as fast as I think they could, because they don't have competition against them out here compared to Florida, where they do have competition because of Epic Universe and then what Universal is doing out there with their other parks. That's where I kind of feel like, even if we hear news by the end of this year, oh, we're going to be building a Pokemon land, or, oh, we're going to be ripping out some sound stages on the lower lot for theme park expansion, I don't think Disney is really going to kind of step up their pace with the projects they announced 2 years ago at D23, because Disney will never feel that Universal Hollywood is a threat.
Well, yeah, because if you look at DCA, right?
Sure.
It wasn't Universal that motivated Disney to make that park better. It was Disney's own failure with DCA that did that, right? So even when we do see big investment, it usually doesn't come from the Universal stuff. It comes from Disney failing hard and they have to fix it. But so you're right, Conductor. I agree with you 100%. If they're not feeling heat from Universal, and Disneyland Resort hasn't really had like a failure where there's a fire under their butt lately. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they're a little bit comfortable, a little bit. So, but I agree, Jared, that's a great question. And Jared, I know we're going to move on to the next topic, but Vash, do you have a thought on that? Like the next attraction coming to Hollywood before we go?
Yeah, I it's really interesting. So the tech services building, which a lot of people have said is kind of the key that unlocks a lot of the expansion for Universal Studios Hollywood, I think is finishing up right now. They moved, I believe the mill or the wood shop from the lower lot, and the security changes have been made in order to proceed with that hotel. And you would think that with this new hotel going in, you get an attraction with it. So I actually do think we're closer to a new attraction than maybe people think. Although, with that Comcast split, I think everything, past the points of permit filings and things under construction right now are certainly in question.
Yeah. Well, and I think really we talked about the Comcast split, last week, but it does bring a lot of questions, undoubtedly. And we don't really have a lot of answers at this point. And so I think that is, even with Florida, it's like, what is the appetite going to be with some of this stuff? Even the kids resorts, even, Unleashed stuff. So there are a lot of questions around that, and, time's going to tell, but I think that's a legitimate concern to bring up until we see exactly what the purpose of the spinoff is, if they're operating business as usual, or if we notice anything. So I think that is a fair point. Absolutely. Before we move on here, we do have some super chats. Storybook Sorcerers became a member over here. Thank you, Storybook Sorcerers. And she became a VIP. I don't have VIP music, but I do have Dwight Schrute.
She said.
Nope, that was Michael Scott.
That's what she said.
That works. Okay, we'll use that. I need to get some more sounds on my soundboard here. I'll work on that. We also have $2 from Cameron's Island podcast. Thank you, Cameron's Island. It says, what is the new ride coming to Dark Universe? Last I heard, it seems to be changing kind of a lot with this, but at least in the last little bit. But last I have heard, I know Bride of Frankenstein based ride is in the mix, but I also have heard Creature still there. I'm wondering if this does become sort of almost like Monsters, where it's multiple characters in the ride. But I have been told that it is going to be some sort indoors and probably some sort of water ride. We just don't know if Universal and Mock rides have made up or anything from, they weren't too happy with Stardust even before the Stardust Racers incident. So not sure the ride system, but I do think it's something along the lines of Bride of Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon from the last I heard.
And they have filed an extension on the Wizarding World ride as well over there at Epic. They filed it today. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that yet. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I'll do some. I'll ask around some of the people I talk to because I'm curious about that. Because that stuff, I was told beginning of the year, we're starting on this soon, and then it went on. I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, well, they're still doing it. It's just sometimes delays happen. But then again, that'll be curious with the spinoff. Do they still move forward at the speed they were planning on with some of these expansions? It's a good question, and I wish I had the answers to it. So we'll see on that end. We also have O2RR. Now this was for Vash. I don't know if Vash wants to sing or not. It says, sorry, Vash. $4.99 here. It says, sorry, Vash, for seeing this again, but this is for the amusement of the other panelists. So okay, Vash, do you have a presentation you would like to give us?
Yeah, okay, we can do it.
Oh my God.
There's a great big horrible tomorrow. Thanks for humoring me. There you go. You got 2 out of me today there, O2RR. No, not really liking what's going on with Carousel Progress right now. Would prefer that not happen. It is happening. So We just basically hope for the best right now since it is closed. I think they've adjusted the audio on People Mover, and removed that, and it's all boarded up, it's all closed up. So I can only hope for the best, I suppose.
Vash, it's interesting that you guys bring up tomorrow, actually, because there was we talked about this in the group chat the other day. Josh D'Amaro sat with the other Josh Gad.
Hard-hitting interview from Mr.
Oh, very, very. He was sweating. But the two Joshes were talking, and there was nothing of substance. So, but the thing is, though, I will say, though, Josh, he's really good, man. Like the way he smoozes, because he was talking about Josh Gad was like, okay, what's like your favorite attraction? What would you want to go on? He goes, oh, Pirates, man. I want to ride that thing, at 2 a.m. in the morning when no one's in there. And I'm like, the way he answered the question was like a fan would, like a nerd, right?
Yeah.
It could be a shtick, and it probably is a shtick. I don't know the guy personally, but I will say it was very effective. I was watching it going, hey, dude, you got game, bro. You got Riz, as the kids call it. Like he was really you really did feel. And there he is in the short shorts.
Here we go. Of course. To be in there.
Do you think that was a dig by Josh because Iger had the comments about Pirates, and Josh is just like, "This is how you answer it. It's a great ride.
Interesting.
Well, he won that battle hands down. The way he answered that question, and he threw in like, "Man, I would love to ride that thing at 2 a.m." and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, you know what? This guy, he at least understands the diehards and the PR element of it. This guy knows how to game. And you met him, right, Jared, like a while back?
I did. I'll find the picture. I have a picture to prove it. Yeah, I did meet him outside of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and he's very good. He's a smooth talker. He's one of those dudes when you talk to him, it's like it's just you and I. And there was like hundreds of people around us, and it's just like, nope, it's just me and you. I want feedback. And you're like, okay. I think strength there is stuff like that. I thought you were going to say Josh Gad was great, and I was about to lose my mind because I can't stand Josh Gad. Oh my gosh, I don't understand why he is popular.
Jared, he is never great, and I will never ever say that. He annoys the hell out of me.
He was funny. Did you guys ever watch New Girl?
Yes.
Wow.
When he played Bear Crawl, or was it Bear Claw? That was the funniest thing Josh Gad has ever done. Was on that show. It was like two things he ever showed up on. Other than that, I was like, I see. Me and Jay Shear are not the same person, but we share the same thoughts about Josh Gad. So if I ever need like someone to back me up on Josh Gad hate, I just go to Jay, and he's always there on that.
No, I had the same similar experience, Jared. I actually got to talk to tomorrow when Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway debuted. I was actually there that day, and I got to talk to him. I had the same experience, though. Just hundreds of people around. Me and him were just
mesmerizes you with those eyes. He's just like, it's just you and I, buddy. We're dancing. We're dancing.
I rather look at him than Iger, but that's besides the
point. Do you think Iger told him in this photo, Josh, put on your jogging outfit, okay? We need to match. He was like, all right.
Hey, well, notice something real quick. Notice something. No. Well, that's besides the point.
Bob is trying to draw your attention somewhere, really.
No. Just think about it, though. Iger's wearing the Ray-Bans. Tomorrow doesn't need it. What does that tell you about Iger?
He doesn't do enough sun gazing. Clearly, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the benefits of gazing in the low UV light in the morning.
Hey, he's like Palpatine. He has to stay in the dark.
He's a vampire.
Palpatine. Well, and it's funny, Jared. You mentioned the moves. I knew you were going to bring up the moves.
When I saw it, I was like, Bob, what are we doing right now? Like, wear the baggiest shirt you have. Don't be wearing tight athletic shirts and then pin a button on. If this was a woman, you'd be like, my gosh, are you starting an OnlyFans? Like, what are we doing here?
It's like right here too. He pins it right in the middle.
It's the name tag.
Yeah, he's just drawn me in. He's like, if you're going to check out my name, you're checking out what I'm packing. And you're like, my gosh, Bob, just geez.
So we need to get this guy on TRT or what, bro?
He needs some PRT, undoubtedly. What would be fun? I was joking with you guys. How funny it would be over the next 2 years, like Josh just starts getting like just more in jacked. All of a sudden you're like, what? And then he just, he's just like, listen, it's like it's turning into WWE promos. He's like, we're gonna take on Universal, brother, and you're like, okay, all right, I like this, but
I like. Well, Tomorrow could hit the gym a little bit. The arms are pretty.
He's a little skinny. He's probably a jogger because he not to break this down, but like he kind of looks like his legs are kind of toned there, but not upper body. He probably runs, if I were to guess. That seems to be a very California thing to do. Oh, Bob, I don't know. Maybe he's older. I'll give Bob I'll cut him some slack. Just don't wear that like that. Why didn't Josh tell Bob like, hey Bob, maybe don't do that. Don't show off the boot and the moobs, when you're going to an investor conference. And by the way, I do love this juxtaposition with Michael Eisner, where he's just like,
I was just
get me out of here. I'm so tired of these uppity people. It just looks like he is bored. Oh God. He's got these two glasses, just like I imagine he's looking at Bob right now and just being like, "What the hell is that?"
Pretty much.
Well, and Michael Eisner, like nothing he's wearing matches. It's just like,
he doesn't care. Yeah, he rolled out of bed. He was like, "What am I doing this morning? Okay, whatever. Just give me that." And they're like, "Do you want to dress?" Like, no, I don't care.
Do you think Eisner does like the smell test before he puts on a shirt? Like, good enough.
No. He might be at the point where there's no. He just may chance it. He's just like, whatever. I like the shirt.
I think that's Iger with his cardigans.
Oh, maybe.
Definitely the difference between people that are very image conscious versus somebody who wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just doesn't care. He's like, I didn't care back in the day. Don't care now. And by the way, I do agree with Rob here. Mark Woodbury is cooler. I will agree. Too. Mark Woodbury has more, as OG and the kids would say, more riz than I think Tomorrow and Bob Iger combined. He's just kind of he seems cool.
If I had, I'm going to be honest with you, out of Iger, Tomorrow, and then you got Mark Woodbury, the one person I would not mind hanging out in the parks all day and experiencing attractions is Mark Woodbury. Like, when I was on the back lot for FanFest for Back to the Future, me and him were just hanging out for like 10 minutes straight, watching the projections off Courthouse Square, just vibing it up, talking. He's all like, oh, I didn't realize you do a YouTube channel. We start talking about that. Then he's like, how do you like this? What would you change? He wanted to find out all this stuff. The guy is just a class act. Like, oh God, he's one of the nicest park executives I've ever ran into.
He seems cool. Rob was telling me this morning that he used to have long hair. I think he was just a cool dude that became an executive, and he's just like, listen, like I feel like he's the Matthew McConaughey of like theme park execs. He's just like, you just call him up and he's like, all right, what's up? He's like, oh, hey. Whereas Josh is going to be like, hello, this is Joshua Diamaro, and you're like, oh.
So do you think Josh is like he shops at Lululemon?
Yeah,
I can see that.
I can see that too.
Yeah,
he buys the $150 pants.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I could totally see that. Bob, I feel like would probably go to like he wears Nike because he's trying to stay hip and he still thinks Nike is the hip thing. So he's like, that he's just, and then Eisner is just like, what is today? I don't care. What do you guys want?
Okay. Let's do a comparison here. Okay. So Eisner, JCPenney's. Okay.
Oh, yes. JCPenney 10 years ago, by the way. Nothing new.
Or Mervin's, maybe even.
Okay, Mervin's. Or Sears. Oh my God. And then you got Iger at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got the Wonder Twins here.
You got Josh Tomorrow. Where would he fit in at? You think he would be what? Maybe a Kohl's?
I feel like he's like J. Crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of preppy, like J. Crew, but he gets his athletic gear at like Lululemon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I could totally see that. By the way, I kind of wish Josh would not. He looks like a giddy kid with his dad. I'm like, bro, you are the CEO. Like, quit letting Bob lead you around, man. I want to see.
I know.
Bob, it's just every picture is just like, it's me and Bob. I'm like, come on.
Oh,
Jeez.
God.
But, we have a
Yeah.
couple of chats
I
here.
can't- Jared,
What?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I cannot wait for the Disney Legends ceremony because the second he steps on stage, I want to hear the reaction. I want to hear either boos or something.
Oh, they'll pipe in
Oh,
cheers.
it's cheers.
Oh yeah, they're
No,
gonna.
it's
say
good
it.
cheers.
It's
It's
fake
not going to be cheers from me watching it at home. I'm going to be like tired. They're going to retire his cardigan up in the rafters and be like, "Son, get him out of here!"
Old one.
And I'm telling you right now, OG knows this. They are going to introduce a Bob Iger Excellence Award, and he's going to be part of this for the next 50 years. And the first Excellence Award goes to, Bob Iger.
That's such a Bob Iger
I'm telling
thing.
you this right now. When Iger gets on that stage for the Legends ceremony, I'm going to place a bet. I'm going to say tomorrow's going to go on stage with him, and he's going to be wearing a cardigan.
Oh
no,
yeah.
he won't share the stage with Josh. He'll want it for himself. Josh might introduce him, but I don't think it's going to be like me and Josh here.
I don't know. This picture is telling me different.
I think you're mesmerized by the moves. All right, I think you're just staring into the moves, and you're not.
Well, it's not attractive.
We're gonna conductor. You and I will both be at D23 next month, right?
Of course.
We're gonna be in that Honda Center, bro.
Oh God.
And they're gonna hoist up Bob Iger's cardigan, bro, and they're gonna start. They're just gonna put it up, baby.
God.
I'm telling you, they're gonna like just go all out for this man.
Okay. To be fair though, okay. So one of the experiences at D23 we just saw, right, that just got dropped like a week or so ago. They're going to be doing a Disney auction. So you can imagine maybe some of Bob's cardigans, maybe some of his sneaker or like
his used towels,
his towels, some of his personal effects from his personal office at Burbank might be on the auction block. It might be possible.
You're right. You might be able to get like an empty bottle of like Prada cologne or something.
He sold it. Conductor's he's gonna buy a cardigan and come on streams with cardigan on and just be like,
oh hell no, it's too hot for that. No, I'm good.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, before Conductor does have a heart out here, but I got a couple super chats we'll get to, and then we'll tell Conductor to have a nice evening here before we move on to our next story. With Ill Magic here for a 5. What is up, Ill Magic? Thanks for being here as always. Says, sup guys, hope all is doing well. Question: what was the Back to the Future ride like back in the day, and what if they brought back Jaws? It was very, it was similar, obviously, to the Simpsons ride because it's the same ride system. It was a simulator thing. I liked it, but that ride system is still dated. It was dated back then. In today's standards, it would be a very like ho-hum. Like, no, I don't think people would really like love it like they do with nostalgia here. Would be my guess.
It was.
Oh, go ahead, Vash.
Well, the ride vehicle was awesome because, like, like Indiana Jones, right? You go on that 1995, right? And you go on that, and all the Jeeps, right? All the dials that you see, they're all static. Yeah, it's like it's not so great when you look at Back to the Future, which I believe predated it, if I'm not mistaken. Like the whole dash of the DeLorean lit up, and it was like in sync with the show, which was awesome. That was a really cool thing. All of the effects delivered basically practical. This is before CGI, so that's kind of a thing in its corner right there. But it was a kind of a new story. Yeah, and with Biff like stealing a DeLorean back in '55 because they were doing experiments back then. Does it quite hold up 100% now? No, but there were some great gags in it too. Like, for example, I love the safety video before you actually get on.
Yes, the safety video was awesome.
Some great, fantastic stuff right there. So I think it worked. I think it was a pretty cool thing. It would have been great for them to have updated it rather than completely replace it, but that's just me.
If you love an updated ride of that, that would be great. Like still oh man.
Can you imagine Universal just putting a DeLorean on a Kuka arm?
Oh, I do. We
And
found out for like
Yep.
a dream ride system is that you've said yes, 100%.
I am right on that.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love that. Now, real quick, because before a conductor leaves, I need him to chime in on this.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'll indulge all of you. I'll read this. Bob Iger is like a cat. He has marked his territory. Yeah, well, he's done a lot more than
all
mark.
over. He's all over the place.
I love it. Shade Narani always brings the heat. I love that.
And he has like 9 lives, and he just keeps coming back. So it's
That's
like
true.
He's very similar to a cat. In that
There's
way.
a whole building in New York while he still works for the company. It's amazing.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Jaws with Ilmagic, there are rumors they might bring back Jaws with that ride system. I would, and I think people would go crazy if they brought back Jaws. I don't know if it's feasible. I don't think they have plans for it, but I think the fan base. I've been on this bandwagon for years about Back to the Future, Jaws, like these retro rides. I think it would go over like gangbusters, but I don't know if Universal will do it or not.
Tokyo still has it.
Here.
Yeah,
So do we.
Tokyo does still have it. And we also have another 5 here from Ilmagic as well. Thank you again. Ilmagic says, "Oh, and I'll be down in Orlando later this month. What's the best beach to visit?" Oh, well, Orlando's central. In my area, more on the east side, Ormond Beach is pretty good. I mean, Cocoa Beach is your most like touristy of beaches. I don't know where you plan to travel. There's none really in Orlando area, so you got to go west or east side. I know the east side a little bit more, but there are some solid beaches like around the Jacksonville area, like where I'm at a little bit. But there's so many to choose from though. I would try and find if you can find one that has a little bit harder to get to from the public, you'll have a little bit more not as many people there. But yeah, I mean, if you want the most major one that people go to, Cocoa Beach is going to be the touristy one for sure. I would say, but yeah, hit me up. If you want to message me, email me. I can look into. I can ask my wife knows the beaches better than I do, so I can talk to her about that. But you can always email me at jared@captainmagicpodcast.com, and I will do some research if you'd like to know more information on that from better sources than me on that one. But well, we have Mr. Theme Park Conductor does need to get out of here. Thank you for making it. Appreciate it. And he's always over there covering everything going on. Well, you cover East Coast as well, but obviously you're on the West Coast there, so you cover all that. But where can everybody find you? And of course, thank you for being here and streaming on your channel as well.
Of course, anytime. Well, it's always great to hang out with you fellas and be part of the theme parking crew. I love it, especially when I can stare at Bob Iger as a golden idol over here.
This isn't staying up the rest of the stream, by the way. I'm not taking.
Oh, of course, it's going to be permanently imprinted on my mind. What can I say? But you can find me Theme Park Conductor on YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor, on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we have amazing guests like all three of these gentlemen that give different perspectives on the theme park community. And we talk about updates, we talk about events happening at the parks, and so much more. It's such a great time. And stay tuned because we got a lot of amazing content coming up.
100%. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, and shout out to Conductor. Go over there. His information, I believe it's in all of our descriptions, but I know it'll be in mine. And go check him out. Go subscribe over there, and go check out the Conductor Sunday live streams, of course. And he'll be back, of course, on here. So enjoy inventory. I know how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Now make sure, Conductor, when you because you're going to go on Leaving Today podcast, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you mention the moves, the Bob Iger moves.
Yes.
You got to talk about that over there too.
Well, I thought about it. I think I do have a sweater in here. I might wear it. I might wear it because I'll kind of have that transitional phase where I look like Eisner, but I look like Iger at the same time.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
How that's gonna work.
You can do that. Yeah. And then you get to the point where you just don't care anymore. And you're like, that's the best
much
to operate from.
I'll just throw clothes on and say, "Yep, here I am."
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, whatever I grabbed is what I'm wearing today. That's what you got to do. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, man. Be good. Have fun. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, bro.
Thank you,
I just want to bring Monica her comment up.
I was going to bring that up too. Yeah, it was really nice.
This is really nice. Go ahead, Jared. Take the honor of.
No, Monica Raw, I think, says, love watching the live show every week. always have such great conversations. Appreciate all you do. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you as well.
Thank you very much.
And then I would do want to hit one story. I really want to get your guys' thoughts on this, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Poor Vash is probably like, yeah, can we move on from the Bob Iger moves?
Oh no. You're fine.
Wants to talk more about Bob Iger moves personally. You know, you guys can't see it in the private chat. He was like, more moves. And I'm like, listen, guys, we can't have the whole stream. Actually, we could just do a whole stream just breaking down Bob Iger and his weirdness. Because I think Bob Iger is a weird dude. I have a hunch he's just a very weird guy.
Well, like, okay, when you say weird,
like
talking
like he
okay.
probably is very difficult to talk to. Obviously very egocentric and probably just, yeah, like he takes 5 showers a day. That time, you know what I mean? Like if a guy's taking like 3 or 4 showers a day, I just imagine they just have some OCD quirks to him, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, probably. Well, OCD or like that was weird though. The shower thing was weird.
It was so weird to not give up an office because you like multiple
Very
showers in a
strange.
day. It's like, okay, all right. Like he's in California for the most part. I mean, he comes to Florida. I mean, if your office was in Florida, I might get it because like you do need multiple showers in Florida, but like. I don't think Bob Iger is really going outside that much, if I were to guess.
No, and it was actually funny. Vash, you and I have a mutual friend, Showcase of Wishes, and this guy is the most legendary. I love Showcase; he's amazing. But he was always talking about how Bob Iger never went to Florida, like he was never there.
Never, ever.
He was
he wouldn't be caught dead in the park unless it was a. An event or at least there was a reason. So you guys talked about level 99 earlier on. Well, Bob Iger, he goes out with Adam Silver for the opening of NBA Experience. And everybody's like, what does NBA Experience like? Why is it here? Why is it positioned there? What's actually going on? Well, remember, that's right before Bob Iger retires the first time. And then right after, we hear that he might be interested in buying the Phoenix Suns. It's like, oh, okay, so did you do the NBA Experience right before you left and used maybe perhaps company funds to establish a relationship with Adam Silver for your own game? I'm not saying that I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question. And I listen, basketball was my life for like 20 some odd years. I loved it. I haven't watched basketball in a while, but when NBA Experience went in, I was like, this is not going to work here. Like the demographics wrong. It was a weird setup, and that thing was gone so quick. And I think there is fuel to that fire, Vash, about like, why did you put this here? Because at the time, there's a lot of speculation about Disney and those NBA contracts too. So it could have been that along with, Bob wanting to own a team and like, hey, we'll do this for you. And maybe you do something for me down the line. A little quid pro quo there, maybe, but
maybe a little bit. And now he's trying again with Kushner, which is very interesting. That's a whole other.
The best NBA owner ever. He's just going to revamp the Suns into a major dominant powerhouse. Wouldn't that be the thing? He would, and then he would be given a presentation speech if they win a championship, just all about him. I feel like that's what Bob would do, but
that sounds like a Bob thing.
Now, do you guys feel that because Bob obviously had a California bias, and I will say so do I.
West Side.
but do you feel that DeMauro doesn't have that same sort of bias? Like, do you feel like DeMauro is going to be a CEO? Because it's still early; it's only been a couple months. But do you feel DeMauro is going to be more of a guy who's like, you know what, I'm gonna show up in Florida too? He was there. He was in California the other day. But I mean, do you feel like he's going to be?
He does show up.
More appearances?
I think. Throughout his tenure as the chairman, he's in Florida quite a bit. So I feel like, I feel like he probably does.
He's a genuine Parks fan. There's a reason why, he starts his career at Disneyland, and there's a reason why he, accepts his position to become Walt Disney World's president. He is genuinely a Parks fan, whereas Iger wasn't. Certainly not as much as his predecessor, Michael Eisner, and definitely not as much as Josh D'Amaro. Versus Josh D'Amaro, I think he's park agnostic. He's just like, hey, look, I like the parks. I'll go to Paris. I'll be there for the opening of Disney Adventure World and World of Frozen and all that. I'll be, at Magic Kingdom for the opening of whatever. To him, I don't think it matters. Versus Iger, it's like, well, I'd rather be on the Hollywood red carpet, which he often was.
Well, like OG, you've said, Bob Iger was more comfortable in people in his own tax bracket, where I think Josh is a little bit more comfortable mingling with the common folk a bit more.
True.
Oh,
I feel like Josh, unlike Bob, Josh may have he may be like, okay, I'll come, but I want a hot churro waiting for me. And you're like, okay, that's fine. We can, like, that's what I would do. I'd be like, I'll come into your park, but I want some food when I get there, and then I'll walk around. But well, I don't know if Josh tomorrow is going to go to this or not. He might go check this out, see what the competition is doing. But Universal, after the news, Comcast doing a spinoff, and we've speculated about what that might mean. I kind of think there is a chance here that means Universal might be a little bit more aggressive in some monetization of the parks, given they're going to spin off their own company. A few days later, Universal announces Universal Nights, which is an after-hours event coming to Epic Universe. And some of the details on this, there's 2 dates thus far, and those dates are, let's see, it's going to be $179.99 per person. You can have an AP discount with that if you are an annual pass holder. The dates for this are October 3rd and October 17th. It is going to take place from 9 p.m. until midnight. You can get into the park as early as 7. So basically right as Celestial Goodnight starts, that is when the after hours event begins. There is food and snacks involved. I've heard some people talk about some of the things. There is going to be some snacks there. I'm not really sure exactly all of the different snacks available. But to me, I have heard. What'd you say? Sorry, what'd you say?
Included snacks and beverages included.
Agree. Yeah, and very similar to Disney. Disney does the same thing with their after hours, where you get like sodas and water and like popcorn and stuff like that, ice cream. Now, I was told a few months ago that this is something they were pursuing. I didn't know if maybe we saw the Orlando Informer event pop up that included Epic that sold out right away at a much higher price point, I will add. And so I didn't know if maybe that was the way the Universal was going to go, but it seems they're going their own path with this. What are you guys' thoughts on these after hours events for Universal? And do you think this is just for Epic, or do you think this is going to be the other parks, eventually as well?
Well, I think Epic certainly has the most demand, and we've seen that Epic has problems keeping people in the park late night. And so I think this solves both those problems, right? You are satiating park capacity, but you're also you're doing this extra add-on after hours event, which Epic Universe was built on. I mean it was. I think it's a juggernaut waiting to be unleashed and unlocked. And they're pursuing that. I think it's a decent thing. And we've seen really parks all around the United States, but certainly in Florida, benefit greatly and move into the area of selling the parks multiple times a day. Mm-hmm. And that includes corporate, that includes the common average guest and so forth. So I think, this is definitely part of the strategy. This is expansion of that. I just think, man, $179 for 3 to 5 hours. That's a lot of money. That is a huge sum.
What is Disney's price they have that at? It's been a few years since I've done one, but I can't remember what Disney had theirs priced at.
Well, Vash, right? Like Disney Channel night and all those like after hours events out here at Disneyland are like around that price tag, aren't they?
Well, I don't think it's that short though. I don't think it's 3 to 5 hours.
Okay,
I thought it was like 4. Oh, go ahead. Please.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say Disney's after hours range from $155 to $199 per person, depending on the park. That's Magic Kingdom is $175 to $199 is what theirs in 2026.
And how many hours is that included?
This says 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. So it's
3, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, that's typically what they do. I mean, I thought that when that price was announced, I was like, I think the timelines were pretty similar. I mean, if you're talking about Universal, like they're going to price it close to Disney, just given probably that's where they think the market is. But I mean, personally, it is high. But I also look at the Halloween parties that now Disney's well over $200 for. That's crazier to me than the after hours being at 100 whatever, like 779. Because I will say the Disney after hours events, the ones that we've done at Magic Kingdom, have been great. Like I really have enjoyed those. And 3 hours typically is enough to really do everything you want to do there for the most part. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off at all, but go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, I just thought the price point was a little bit elevated. And I don't know, I guess, OG, when you look at Fan Fest nights and you look at the value there for like, less than half, it just seemed a little bit elevated for me. But look, this is a park that's in demand still. And I think this park has gained a reputation operationally not being the best, right? So this idea of getting in, and Universal includes that language in this release for these tickets, that this is going to be a limited capacity event. So under the auspices of an after hours party, which a lot of people haven't seen this park to its fullest extent at night, limited capacity, I think, is a big selling point. Snacks, and maybe even additional opportunities like, entertainment or even character meet and greets. I think it could go a long way. I think it could be fantastic. And because they're only doing it on 2 nights, I think it'll sell out. I was just a little bit taken aback by the price point. I thought that was a little high for my liking, but it is a new park.
I'm thinking also the price point. I think they also assume as well that this is going to sell out. What's interesting is all the issues you mentioned, they've kind of turned into a monetization potential, because I've been wanting this park open later ever since it opened, and they haven't done it. The wait times are a real issue here. And if you were to tell somebody, like, opening day of this park, everything was a walk-on, and I was shocked by it. And I've also been in this park where everything is like a 100-minute wait. So if you have these issues, you have people that want to go to this park, they may not want to deal with all that goes with it, because that's, unless you get Express Pass, which is another the huge expense for this park to be able to ride everything in a day potentially.
True.
I think this will sell out. I think that they'll do 2 of these, and then you're probably going to see quite a few of these around Christmas time. Now, I also think with the calling it Universal Nights, I do think they end up doing this at like Islands and the studio side too.
That's a good point.
I think they'll probably do more of these all over. And again, if you're spinning off in your own company, and we kind of discussed this, I get the feeling they may really try and get more aggressive on some of these monetization efforts like this. And you're kind of taking a weakness of the park and kind of turning it into a selling point for an event like this. It's kind of interesting, which I do think will work. I have no doubt these will sell out. I mean, we're going to try and go when we saw it. I mean, and I think the price point is a fair criticism, especially for a new event like this. But I think Universal is just going to look what Disney's doing and just be like, okay, because they want this. I mean, they even price this park close to Magic Kingdom in terms of the pricing of it. So I think they've really wanted this park to be looked at as their flagship, kind of like Disney with Magic Kingdom. So probably from an optics standpoint is probably yet another reason why they put it at that price point. But, I guess we'll see how the feedback outlook.
I guess I'm just so surprised by a young park like this, right? Because we just had the Twilight tickets over there at Disneyland. They sold out within a week. And those were at $60 a person. Now you got 5 hours there. Now it wasn't an after hours party. It was, you are getting evening access to a park filled with day guests and annual pass holders. There's no question about that. But you look at Disneyland. Oh, gee. I mean, 2 painted nights, 2 Fantasmics, fireworks, and 45 different, attractions. It's like, that's a heck of a value. And that's at $60. So that, I guess that was the my immediate comparison there. I was just kind of surprised at the aggressivity of this, especially because this park is a little bit attraction starved at this point. But hey, who knows? Demand is demand, and they're pricing it for demand. Go ahead, OJ.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. So is this basically like just access to the park for that price, or are they doing something different here? Like, is this like a fan fest kind of thing, or is it more just like the $60, the $50 deal over at Disneyland where you just have access to the park for a certain amount of time?
This is after hours.
Yeah, it's much more what in Disney World's done, which is like limited capacity. You got food and drinks that are included with this, but the selling point here is there's less people in the park. You can walk on, at least, well, we don't know yet, but the idea here is you can walk on to most attractions with very low waits.
Whereas you're buying access to the park after a certain point with those Twilight tickets that just sold out. OG, this is exclusive access to Epic Universe starting at 9 p.m. Does that make sense?
Yeah, interesting. I don't know.
And I think that you look at Orlando Informer, those events sold out. I'm imagining, because my whole thing with this, if you're Universal, you better undersell this like crazy, because the last thing you want is this being oversold and people are like, it's still wait times here. So I would imagine they probably look at the Orlando Informer events that actually those aren't going to take place before this one. Actually, now that I think about it, I think these are taking place before the Orlando, because the Orlando Informer events are in November, I believe. So I might be wrong about that.
Another interesting point, and Vash, you touched upon this, is that this park is attraction starved, right? So if one thing goes down, that's going to ramp up the anxiety for people that paid to get into this thing. And now Ministry of Magic is down. right? And
Yeah.
you only have 5 rides in the park, and now one of them's down. It's like that's a problem. Like for Disneyland, like to your point, Vash, where it's like, dude, I mean, that park is the most stacked park in history. It's ridiculous. So one thing goes, even Indiana Jones goes down, you still have a huge amount to work with.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
This doesn't have that. So you might get a lot of complaints where it's like, and Universal can't help it. I get it. Like, you know, you can't help when a ride goes down, but like, because there's such a low like roster to choose from, I mean, it's the thing though.
Well, that's like with Magic Kingdom. I mean, there's so many rides in that park. If something goes down, it doesn't derail it. Versus the other after hours in the other parks, I've had some criticisms of. I don't think it's been quite worth it to have, you know, let's say Animal Kingdom after hours. I don't think that's worth it because Animal Kingdom has way less rides than, you know, Epic Universe even does. So I think if it goes over well and they don't have major issues, and maybe this comes down to them feeling more comfortable with the ride operations and doing this. I listen, if you have less people in this park, people can walk on to most of these attractions and the word gets out that you can do that. I imagine they would probably sell these things out, especially like around Christmas time and and the weather gets better. I don't think if they're able to pull it off, I don't think they have a problem selling these, but I suppose the risk there is, you know, you oversell this. And really too, I've made the argument, if you got Express Pass, you can ride most of these rides pretty quickly. So I think 3 hours is probably, you may hit a point with this where you're just like, I don't want to ride Battle for the 9th time. You know, like you do hit that point sometimes in these after hours events. I know we've done that with Disney where we're like, we've ridden Seven Dwarfs Mine Train 5 times. We're just like, I don't know if I want to ride it again. So, you know, maybe 3 hours is enough there. But sorry, go ahead, Bash.
Well, the additional value add here too is the inclusion of Celestial Goodnight, and I think the good word of mouth and everything going with that experience, right? That nighttime activation, I think will help sell tickets as well, because I think a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, heck! I mean, you get Celestial Goodnight and an after hours party. That's a pretty decent value right there." Yeah, I mean, you're right. The Orlando Informer dates start November 13th, 14th, thereabouts. So this will predate them. And look, I think Epic, certainly, you looked at the Orlando Informer event, saw how fast it sold out. They understand demand is there, and they understand they can charge for it. And I do think you're right. I think, you know, without Comcast, you're going to be looking at different points of ROI, and they might not have the luxury of being in this market capture mode that they've been in for a while now, 15 years in.
Yeah.
Remy D says, "And you get day for you." Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, Remy D says you get kimchi bao.
Nice.
Okay.
Kimchi bao.
Kimchi.
Interesting.
Hey, kimchi is good for your gut. You know, take
That
care of
is
your
true.
gut.
That is true. That is very true. You know, like I think, these events are rather. I would assume they're simple to put on for the most part. I mean, you're running the parks as you typically would during a day with just less people in there. I think the biggest, like you were saying, OG, the biggest problem is going to be if rides go down, do they get them back open? And then are they caught in a spot where they're giving out refunds? You know, I went to the first after hours after Disney kind of restart. They kind of did that test little phase of them years ago, and then they reintroduced the after hours events. I went to the first one of those, and I got stuck on Pirates for 2.5 hours.
Oh my god!
So they did refund me, and I will just say that was a very interesting study in human behavior because people lost it. Like people were assaulting cast members. Like it was bad.
Oh no,
that's horrendous.
It was not good. And you know, like I understand things happen. I don't know why it took them so long to get us out of there, but it does put a damper if something like this happens at something like this. So that's always a risk you run, especially on these first ones here. But I agree with you, Vash. Like the fireworks show being here, you can get in at 7, so you might be able to get in a couple of rides before the event actually starts. You could have people watching fireworks a bit more, not in the portals as much. So there could be a little bit more value than just the 3 hours there. But I'm gonna try to go to this. My wife and I even said we're gonna try and get tickets. If we're able to get them, check it out and see what it's like. But I think potentially this is something that I don't think they're going to stop at 2 events here. I think they're going to end up doing quite a bit more. If this goes well, would be my guess.
Yeah, and Vash, you bring up a great point. Like with this split, with this divorce, so to speak, with the Comcast. Like I think that they're gonna structure this stuff differently, and even the natural chain of events, right? When you go through a massive like market share growth mode,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna have even if they didn't divorce Comcast, like or split off, right? They were gonna have a period of like letting that settle a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So they're gonna pull back a little bit, and like you were saying, they're gonna have to have different ways to make their money back. So we might see some of these things, you know. So we'll see. But
I think they're going to get a little bit more aggressive, and I think it's going to hit you in ways that you may not have previously foreseen, like maybe food prices, merchandise prices, perhaps different events that they've had before, like Halloween Horror Nights. I think there'll be a little bit of a reevaluation there as they look for ways of generating capital for their investments.
yeah,
Well, I
no,
kind of
it's
call this
tough.
could be them going in a little bit of a profit harvesting mode, if you will. Like they laid the groundwork for Epic. They paid $8 billion. They got 1 year under their belt, and they're like, okay, now it's time to. Okay, we can't get full capacity. What else can we do? And it may, and like you were saying, OG, this may have happened regardless of the spinoff. But now with the spinoff, it does bring it into an interesting light about how aggressive they're going to be. And I think somebody pointed out to me, I can't remember, it was somebody with Universal said they're going to be trying some stuff. Not all of it's going to work, but they're kind of in this mode where they're willing to take some chances on some of this stuff. So I think this is one of those things. Like, and I think also I've been told they may do more around the holidays. Now I don't know if that means Halloween. I think there are some chances they may do some sort of more family friendly Halloween party, kind of closer to Mickey's Not So Scary at Epic, because you have HHN, which is going to be a completely different thing. But I did get the impression that, especially on Christmas, like Christmas parties, I've even said Celestial Park would be great for like a food festival. So you do have a lot of potential with this park. And I think that they're in that mode now, especially with this spinoff, where they're probably going to get pretty aggressive with this stuff and see really where is this. Because if you look at Disney and Universal, like these are the things that Disney does really well, like events, festivals, all this extracurricular revenue they bring in outside of just park admission and direct ticket sales. These are the things that Universal's definitely going to try and ramp up, especially as they compete more with Disney, in the next few years.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch. It really is. I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I'm rooting for them. I really am. I want this new company that they're spinning off to be really, really successful.
Yeah.
If they can maintain the quality, I don't mind them taking the foot off the gas. I get that, but just maintain the quality. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're all kind of worried about, and I guess it's going to be up to Universal to see if they can actually keep up that pace. Now, before we leave here, Jared OG, we got to say something a little bit about the changes in management coming up here.
Oh,
When it
yeah.
comes to Ken
I don't wanna
Potrock
hit
and
that.
Joe
Yeah.
Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The last thing I was going to mention about it lost. Never mind. It isn't a big deal. Anyways, I think we've said all we need to say on this, so we're good. Is there an article on that, or you just want to?
Oh, well, yeah. Let me. I'll go ahead and get you a couple of things right here.
Okay.
Going in just a second here.
Because this is interesting, and I think we kind of talked about this in the private chat. I was like, or in text, like this is kind of interesting and what may be happening beyond just what the optics are. And that is the fact, like Vash pointed out, Ken Potrock, former president of Disneyland Resort, has announced his retirement from the Walt Disney Company. Now, I would point out, and my first impression when I saw this, now, mind you, I don't know a lot about Ken Potrock. I don't know a lot about Disneyland, but he seems rather young to, quote, retire. This seemed to me, maybe there's, we've seen a lot of changes at Disney World in terms of its, even the parks and the experiences division itself since Tomorrow took over. Do you guys think that this is more of a forcing out, getting a Tomorrow guy in there, or do you think something else is going on?
It's interesting because he was running Disneyland Resort, which was a big position at Disney, right? And then he left, and he was running like these special events, like I think the Olympics and America 250 and things like that. And at the time, I was kind of like, that's a cool position, but it felt, I don't know, for me, it felt like almost like a demotion. Right? It felt like a demotion. And so now we come to find out, after the America 250 stuff is kind of in the rear view and things are kind of chugging along, that he's going to be leaving. I kind of feel like this is like like they knew they wanted him to go,
It's
and they
also the
gave
same
him.
language they use for Jeff Vale too. He's
Yeah,
retired, and he seems
yeah,
a little young to retire as well.
yeah. I think they wanted him to go. When he left Disneyland and did that like special event thing, I was like, that's kind of weird. I mean, remember, this was the guy who put the blood, sweat, and tears in to get Disneyland Forward approved.
Yeah.
And then
And
he
he was-
leaves, right? It's weird. Go ahead, Avash.
Well, and I always thought that he got a raw deal only because, like, literally days before the parks go down for, they were closed for 412 days. He literally just got the job, got handed off, and then had this big crisis actually happen. So for a lot of his tenure, the park wasn't even open. And then in between that time, they lay off 28,000 cast members.
Right.
So he's in this position where he's got to handle the biggest reopening operation the company had ever seen at that point. And then right when it starts to get back on its feet, and then he's gone. So remember when Disneyland reopens, right? I think they can only get like maybe 60% of their cast members back, who were employed before. So they had to have a huge campaign in terms of getting labor for this place. And he had certainly some struggles. Now I know a lot of people have been critical of Camp Hot Rock. I get that. I understand that. There are things that happen during his tenure that we all have problems with, like the reservation system, for example, or like the lack of entertainment and all that. I do think a lot of that, though, were company mandates, right?
Yeah.
You got to think when you have a major park like this closed for 412 days, you're going to be taking some massive losses. Okay.
Well, that
And I think
reservation system was clearly a overall corporate mandate, I would imagine.
right, because Walt Disney World got it too.
Right.
So it wasn't like Disneyland was just, oh, look, Ken Pot Rock, he went rogue and instituted this reservation system. No, that was a company-wide mandate, like you said. Lightning Lane and Genie Plus, that was a company-wide mandate.
Yeah.
So how much of it can we actually put on Ken Pot Rock's shoulders? I don't know. Apparently, he was an advocate for Splash Mountain remaining the same. Like, he was not a big fan of Sean's by Adventure coming in there.
I mean, he's got to go. He's got to.
I think that's why, right?
I think we just figured it out.
We just figured it out. So, but yeah, he was part of the Disney Major Events Integration team, like you said, OG, doing like the 250th, doing the World Cup, but also too, he was supposed to be working on 2028 Olympics, and he's leaving in 2027. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, so that was your one job, and now you're gone. So something definitely happened here. There's no question about that. I think he got a little bit of a raw deal just because of the Herculean task they put on his shoulders, and kind of felt like a demotion to me, like you said, OG. So we'll have to see what actually happens, or maybe we can get some stories or sources as to what occurred here and why he fell out of the favor of the company that we all kind of suspect that he may have. Is Disneyland Resort in a better place than when it was pre-closure? No, I think objectively we can say that. But how much of that was because of Ken? Not quite sure. I think that story is not as black and white as I think a lot of people would like to say it is, just because of those company mandates and because the company's volatile and vulnerable positions in various markets and various sectors and in various industries and so forth. So I'm hoping big things for Jill Estorino. But we'll see. That the problem is that Disneyland Resort hasn't had a lot of stability in its presidential position, which is one of its biggest problems.
Well, and Ken Potrock, I mean, that Disneyland Forward thing was a big deal, and he was there for that. And to let him go, because I agree with you guys. I feel there's something going on here with this, right? Like, this isn't just him deciding I want to leave. Like, I feel like maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe him and tomorrow they spar. I don't know. Maybe they don't get along. Something is going on though.
Or Thomas Asloom comes in and he doesn't like the way he's running it. I mean, I think clearly we're seeing. I mean, we've got Jeff Vale, we got Ken Potrock now. You've had a new chairman because tomorrow was promoted to that position. So you got a new president of Disney World. You got somebody new coming to Disneyland. It seems to me that we are seeing tomorrow put people in places that he wants and get rid of people that he doesn't like,
Yeah.
or not maybe like, but just doesn't think it's a good fit. Because what's interesting too is with part of DeMauro coming into this was like it was very adamant about keeping some of these high level people. So those people stay, and then we're seeing some of these people that clearly they were not a priority to keep. And so I think it's pretty clear. And like this is the way you do this in corporate structures. I mean, they typically Disney's got to come out and say Ken Potrock is fired. Unless you're Bob Chapek or something, because they're going to sit here and say, oh, he's retiring, even though, I mean, I'm guessing he's in his 50s. He's probably not actually retiring, maybe getting a severance package or whatever. So Jeff Vale's the same thing. I think that's definitely what's going on here. Now, whether that's good or bad, I guess depends on what happens in the parks and what the vision there is. I have liked some things that Masloom has said. We've talked about that before, Bash and OG. So the lip service I like. The actions, I guess we'll wait and see if those follow it. So I suppose if you are hopeful of this stuff, maybe DeMauro is getting people in places here, like the old adage of getting the right people on the bus and the right seats. Maybe he's in the midst of doing that, and I guess we'll see. But I definitely don't buy that he just decided one day, like, you know what, I'm going to retire. Like, I just don't think. And I agree with you, man. That's a raw deal to get. Is the minute you come into this and it's like, oh, by the way, we're shut down. And I forgot it was shut down that long. That was crazy to me.
So long.
Well, and in this corporate space, right? And Vash and I, we did so many videos on that shutdown. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we did so many because it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But here's the thing: it's like in the corporate culture, no matter what company you're in, they play these games, dude.
Oh yeah.
And if DeMauro wasn't really feeling Potrock, they weren't vibing. They weren't, they were sparring a lot. Remember, DeMauro was running the experiences division when Potrock got demoted, right? Yeah. He was running the experience. That was probably DeMauro's call. They set Potrock up. We're gonna put you over here now, out of our hair. You can go do the Olympics in America 250 now. Getting him out of the hair, right? And Potrock probably like, hey, he's not dumb. Saw the writing on the wall, and he knew what was coming, But it felt like when they moved him over there, it felt like they knew they wanted to get rid of him. This was like, it felt like a demotion.
Oh, I would say it probably was. Like yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like we see this a lot too. Whenever somebody hits a point where they feel like they can't move up in the company anymore, they kind of leave. Especially if you have greater aspirations. And so when we saw that with Kevin Mayer and Tom Staggs too, where once they didn't get the CEO nod, they left and started, Candle Media. So you're right. It is a corporate thing. It's not unusual behavior by any means, but it's unusual to me, so close to Jeff Vale and now this one. I think clearly I'm not saying the chances are zero, but I'm not really buying that two dudes high up in the Disney parks are both just like, you know what? I think I'm good. Like I'm
right. You're 100% right, Jared. And they were setting this dude up like even a corporate job. If you're just a regular employee, usually if there's an issue or that your boss doesn't like you, they don't just fire you, right? What do? They put you on a performance plan or some BS, right?
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll go in there and they'll nitpick your work, and so they build the paper trail, the whole 9 yards. We all know the game, right? So it's the same thing with this on a crazier scale. Okay, yeah, we'll put you on your performance plan, Potrock. We'll get you over there doing America 250, and then it's the same dog and pony show, and they've been wanting to get rid of this guy probably since then.
Yeah. Oh, you don't demote somebody if you're not looking to maybe do that. Go ahead, Vash.
Well, and you mentioned Jeff Vale as well. That's the kind of the other side of this whole coin, right? Because here's a guy who certainly didn't have any upward momentum, especially with Thomas Moslem getting the overall chairman role there. So he leaves. But again, he said, July, and it was kind of ambiguous as to when he was going to leave. Now we've got confirmation that looks like Joe Scott is coming in August. And so, we've seen a lot of big moves at Walt Disney World in the last 5 years, right? We've seen a lot of classics go away. We've seen a lot of overhauls and reimaginings and so forth, overlays as well. We've seen the erosion of the kind of the hospitality feel and vibe from the resort infrastructure and all of that. So, I mean, that's a lot of, I think, Jeff Vale there. What does Joe Scott bring with him? I think that's going to be a big open question when it comes to the future of Walt Disney World. Does Joe Scott say, hey, you know what? We reevaluated, we were looking at the comments and everything like that in a similar fashion that maybe Thomas Muslim did back in February of this year, which is so crazy how much movement that we've seen here. Remember, he came out with that big symposium, that media summit with everybody and said, hey, it was kind of a come to Walt moment. Almost. It was like, yeah, you know what? We screwed up. We're working on this. Go. Paying lip service and all that. Do we see something like that from Joe Scott and saying, hey, look, listen, we've had a lot of operational changes for this resort. A lot of that predating my tenure. I have a different vision. We're going to go in a different direction. Maybe he scales back. Maybe he goes, way harder than Jeff Vail ever did. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is really interesting that you were seeing so much shifting at this upper echelon. I do think Josh Giamaro has a lot to do with this. Thomas Muslim being the chairman has a lot to do with this, etc. Very interesting to see Joe Scott in the role now.
Well, and especially Jeff Vail is the most suspicious, I would say, because what president, like, you have all this construction going on, and that's when you walk away? Like that, that seems to me pretty dead on that, like, he was
good luck.
Out.
Yeah.
I go over the water. See you guys.
Exactly.
And those Florida projects, they have so much riding on them. I mean,
oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah, replacing the Rivers of America with this, right? What we're seeing now, basically, essentially, not the same, but essentially.
And coming off Tiana's from changing splashes a few years ago too in the same area.
Right, exactly. And even Villains Land is a huge gamble because fans have been wanting that since like AOL dial-up. They've been wanting that. like you have so much riding on these two lands. So there's a lot of pressure, man. They got to hit a home run. They got to hit 2 home runs there.
They're thinking that this is going to be so successful that we're transforming the way people get around a Walt Disney World property. I mean, that's kind of the big thing, right? I mean, there are big expectations here, to your point, OG. And here's Jeff Vail going, see ya. And it's kind of like, whoa, like, holy smokes. Like, usually you'd want somebody.
Is done.
Usually you'd want somebody there to see these things through, especially if you were the guy maybe campaigning for some of these changes, which we know that relationship with Imagineering now, very interesting. So Joe Scott coming in here, big deal. He can have big impacts. He can have, a lot of say in actually what goes forward, which is going to be very interesting to see. The other thing too, I mean, there was another point I had. I'm not sure. Well, there's other problems going on at Walt Disney World Resort, right? Like entertainment, for example. Could we get maybe an enhanced emphasis in entertainment, especially in this interim between when these parks actually have their expansions come online and now? I mean, if you look at the attendance at Walt Disney World, I think July here or June or I think it is July. We're hitting levels not seen since September of 2021.
Yeah.
It's crazy how low these things are. And so can we shore some things up in the interim? I think Jeff Vail was just not interested in that. Joe Scott might be. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's possible Disneyland beats Magic Kingdom in attendance?
I think it already has.
It's very possible. I actually kind of thought that was the case. We'd probably see that be the case. We were there for the 3rd and the 4th. It was busier. It's anecdotal what it seemed like. We were there 2 or 3 years ago in the 4th or 3rd and the 4th. It was much lighter then, but still the wait times weren't that bad. And you did have most of the annual pass holders blocked out too. But I mean, both Universal and Disney this summer, I mean, we have seen fall off in attendance. Now that could be park related. It also could be, gas prices finally kind of impacting vacations. It could be a lot of things going on. And also just the fact that I think a lot of people choose to not visit Orlando in the middle of the summer if they don't have to. And that could be part of it also. But to your point, I've always felt bringing entertainment back can do nothing but help you. I know they would look at it as a cost, but especially with all this stuff going on, that's been my whole thing about what are you really going to do to bring people in here while these things are being built? Because not only can construction impede the guest experience, but also people may just wait and say, well, I'll go when these things are done. And, I don't know how the Disney studio lot is not fully open yet. we've seen some stuff that have come back from refurbs that, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin was better, but I don't know how much of an impact these things are having on attendance. And maybe that was part of it. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe they could be looking at this stuff and they think it's park related and they want to shake things up because they're not liking what they're seeing too.
Look at the attrition that we saw in the lead up to the opening of Epic Universe from like Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, right? We did see attendance dip down, as one would with upcoming expansions. But what did Universal Studios Florida do? They did Sensational. They did the Mega Movie Parade. Like, I think entertainment definitely helps you.
Yeah.
Shore up some of these attendance figures. You got to spend money to make money a little bit right there. Also, too, we're seeing that flyover that just occurred for July 4th revealed, I guess, that construction has stalled out there in the Rivers of America area specifically right there, which brings up the question, are they doing the same thing that they've done, which is, capital expenditure every single month or every single quarter, right? Gets activated. They go through it. Construction stops until another tranche of funding from the next quarter. Then they go, then it stops. That's what really elongated Tron.
Yeah.
Joe Scott does have some influence on that. Do we see that maybe reconfigured going forward right there? We've seen, it's really kind of fascinating right now to have somebody step in when Walt Disney World is literally going through one of its big expansions that we've ever seen outside of a new major park. Like, it's kind of crazy that is occurring, but that is occurring right now.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I remember seeing Epcot during the Epcot quote overhaul going on the monorail. We would be months, month in between visits, and I wouldn't see any change. Like, because you would go right over the construction of what they're doing. And I never saw anybody working. Like, there was a lot of, like, I think you were correct, a lot of stopping and restarting and doing all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, to me, if I was building these things, like, obviously Tropical Americas and Monstropolis are probably going to be the two that open first. I've always felt it'd make more sense to kind of more, put more beef behind those and then move, not that you don't do any construction there, but then move construction crews over once those things are done. But I don't know, that's a really interesting point. And I did see that as well, that not a lot of progress has been made there. But I don't think now is the time for Disney to take 7 years to build a land. I think quicker.
And Demaro even said, I forgot what it was, some outlet, but he said that he wants speed to be part of his, like his mission statement right now is speed. And there was another thing too, but he wants to move faster with this stuff. So hopefully
risk-taking as well, I think, right?
Yes, that was it, Vash. Yes, speed and risk taking.
But was he talking verticals, or was he talking the entire company? Because that's a different, it's where your perspective is. Now, if you said that as a chairman, that'd be interesting, right? But he's not. He's the CEO, so he might be looking company wide in that whole execution right there. Look, I'm just saying. I mean, even Disneyland's suffering from this a little bit right now, where you'll see construction projects, they'll go and they'll stop, like Portos, for example. What the heck's going on there? And then, we still don't know what's going on with Avatar.
I was going to say Avatar is still hanging out there. Just like,
it's just kind of like, what is actually going on right here? I'm hoping Jill Estorino, everybody brings the goods at D23. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I haven't been that thrilled with Jeff Vail, obviously. So I think,
I don't think many Disney fans have been sad to see Jeff Vail go. I don't think.
Right. It can always get worse, but that's a low bar.
Yeah, it can always get worse. He's so corny, bro. He was so corny.
And from I know it's not fair. From an optic standpoint, he's also just so goofy looking. You just look at the guy, you're just like,
I know. He was.
Like big smile. Like he just looks like just a happy-go-lucky dude hanging out. You're like, do you know what you're doing here? And obviously hates water. I don't know what water did to Jeff Vail. On a one-hand mission.
Well, hey, you want to talk about Pandora getting canceled here in California? If Volley ran a Disneyland Resort, it definitely would. With that way of water stuff.
Oh no,
bro!
I feel like as a kid, bath time for Jeff Vail was very traumatic. He was just like, "No, get him out of here." Well, and like by the time Avatar opens up with you guys, James Cameron's gonna be at the opening of that in a walker, just being like, "Back in my day, we used to make these movies." You're like, okay, thanks,
man.
Jim.
I got two little dogs. One's a Yorkie, and that Yorkie is gangsta, real gangsta, until it's bath time. That water.
Yeah,
he does not like that water.
Dogs get real soft real quick, and they got to take a bath. Yeah,
he's a Jeff Volley dog.
yeah. No, I find this stuff very interesting, like corporate drama. I think this was what it would be. I think because I think a lot of times it is exactly that. It's like you're reading between the lines here, and the answers just come over time. Unfortunately, we'll see what Joe Scott does. I think I've heard about him. I like, but I don't know much about him, to be honest. So I'm not going to make a judgment one way whether it's a good or bad move. Other than I don't feel like. I mean, well, I guess things could always be worse, but I feel like Jeff Vale was pretty subpar for what he was doing and things. So I feel like any change there might be a good change.
There's a reason why that guy does not get the chairman position. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Go ahead, OG.
Yeah, no, 100%. But let me ask you guys a question. We have Disneyland Resort president. We got the Walt Disney World president. Do you feel though, with Maslam now running experiences, and we have Damaro as a new CEO, do these resort centric presidents really matter? Like, because these guys and gals are so corporate, right? Like they're going to make sure that their boss is happy.
Yeah.
So if Maslam's mission statement and the culture that Maslam sets and the culture that Damaro sets, I feel like that's kind of more important, because these other people, like the Disneyland president and the Disney World president, they're going to follow what their boss wants them to do.
Well, I think Vash will have a better point than me. The only thing I will say is I think it used to matter probably more in the past, because I do imagine corporate structures as time has gone along have become much more where the C-suite really controls these other divisions.
True.
So that probably, a president of Disney World today versus 20 years ago probably has less pull just because of IPs and everything becoming more corporatized. But, that's what my take would be. But Vash, what do you say?
I think they have an extraordinary impact even still. I think that has diminished. I don't think we see the big swings like from Paul Pressler to Matt Ouimet, for example, right? Like that was huge in terms of just every single mindset possible. I think the chairman position has become far more influential in that, setting the tone and so forth. And as there have been more corporate incentives to perform big league when it comes to quarter per quarter, showing that revenue growth, that sets the tone as well, right? So I think with all those things, this role has been diminished to some extent, but that we still hear about how WDI is talking with these resort managers about how to implement or how to facilitate the construction of different attractions, what these executives are looking for, who are closest to the park and its daily operation, like, what attractions that they need in order to fulfill their goals and so forth. So I do think they still have a tremendous effect. Look at Michael Calglazier, for example, right? And how he fumbled the Eastern Gateway initiative, for example, or the Fourth Hotel and that whole thing. That did not go well. And then you see Josh Damaro go in there, and that whole thing turns around. So I do think they still have a considerable pull. But like you said, OJ, I'm glad you brought up Disneyland Forward. That was a big initiative. And that the future of the resort was really predicated on that. And Ken Potrock got across the finish line. You got to give him some credit on that. Maybe though, some of those commitments, maybe that's why one of the reasons why Ken Potrock fell out of favor. But he got the deal done, and he secured Disneyland's future.
Yeah, and for his troubles, he got probably a pink slip. But I imagine that he's probably doing okay financially though, so probably not.
Yeah. Pellegrino though, he really fumbled bad. I mean, with the Eastern Gateway and all that stuff, that was, oh my god.
Well, and that's probably why you see more C-suite control, because like you're limiting if you have a really good president, but you're also limiting if you're a really bad one, and the damage I guess they could do is probably the thinking there. And also you could have tomorrow who is he ran the parks. He may really want his vision implemented, and he's getting people in there that he thinks will do it. So he might be more controlling than even Iger was, but maybe it's in a better direction. And you just never know how they're really setting this stuff up, really.
You're right. And real quick before we get out of here, I actually do have footage of Pellegrino fumbling.
Oh.
He fumbled hard.
That's a hard fumble. That's a tough one.
Oh, man.
That's a tough one.
But I'll tell you what, I mean, over the last 15 years, OG, how many resort presidents have we had? Like, we've had a lot of them. I mean, 6, 7, 8 or something like that versus Walt Disney World maybe getting 2. So.
Dude, it's crazy. We've had a lot, and it's been very much a revolving door,
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's insane.
We'll see how it plays out, but yeah, I don't think that this may not be the end. I mean, obviously we got a lot more people in here, but I think you may see some more shuffling. We're only we're not even 6 months into tomorrow's tenure yet, and we're already seeing these big moves. So there may be more to come. So yeah. We will see on that. But before we get out of here, we do have a couple super chats to get to. We have O2RR for a $4.99. I believe this is for Vash. Is this another song request?
I think so. I don't know what the tune is, but I'll try my best here. Incredible as he is inept, whenever the history books are kept, they'll call him the phony king of Disney. A pox on the phony king of Disney. There you go. How about that?
Yeah, that's better than I can do. The only thing I can do is sing It's a White Christmas very deep. That's it. I can't do anything else. It's only useful 1 month out of the year. We also have a 5 here from Cliff Flicks. Thank you, Cliff. He says, if attendance drops and quarterly profits slide, construction will slow down. Wall Street must never see parks revenue slip. It's critical to Burbank. That's a valid point.
At this point, you can't. There's no way. You cannot take another down quarter for the parks division right now.
Yep.
And that's kind of the problem that they're at right now because of the imbalance of the company and its verticals. You've now positioned yourself as the parks need to succeed, and they have to fund all this other stuff. It's like that puts in a very tough position.
Yeah, I mean if you're the CEO of Disney, one of the things you got to do is make these other divisions where they can just run on their own. Because you're right, you can't do this forever. Of the parks just subsidizing the rest of the company. At some point, they got to pick up the slack, or you got to start getting rid of some stuff. It's just, I mean, I don't know, especially as more competition comes in, and maybe, listen, I'd be very curious if both Disney and Universal had little lower quarters off of some of the attendance we're seeing right now. What would the messaging be? Because I think their go-to right now would be maybe the built-in excuse of gas prices. And maybe I don't know if investors would buy it, but I think that would be their go-to thing to just say, hey, financial stuff out of our control. Maybe they get away with 1 quarter because of that. But if you have multiples, that starts really becoming an issue with all this construction. And I don't know, that gets into some interesting territory, but I don't disagree at all with Cliff.
Maybe Cake. I love Maybe Cake. She is awesome. But she says, Vash, you are the karaoke king, dude.
I do feel Vash has got song requests. I mean, we can turn this into a segment if you would like, Vash. I mean, if you want to.
No. I'm perfectly fine with that. There's no way I can do this on a weekly basis right here. But
Vash is like John Bernthal. He's like, no, wait, no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, it's one of those things where somebody is kind of to support the channel. You kind of have to dance, monkey. So
that's true. We are just
doing my duty.
There you go. I mean, you're good though. You're good at what you do. I mean, that was very. I couldn't sing like that.
No, I could not either. You would not want me to sing. I go to sing sometimes. My daughter's just like, don't do that. I'm like, okay, fine. I know what I'm good at, what I'm not, and singing is not one of my strengths. So I'll leave that to Vash and better for me.
I can rap. If you guys want to hear that?
I knew. Hey, I was going to mention that OG might be able to rap, but I didn't want to assume, that would be the case. But we also have another 5 here from Cliff. He says, remember the days when every Disney movie was pulling in $1 billion haul? Those days are long gone.
Oh, yeah. Well, and to be fair to Disney, though, like Cliff X, and you're not wrong. He's absolutely 100% right. But to be fair, though, that was all leading up to that 2019. And we live in a different world now with streaming. It's changed. So box office in general isn't doing what it did back then.
Well, it's even like it's either like it hits or it doesn't. Like Moana, I don't think it's going to do well.
Oh,
And,
dude.
and honestly, when I
man.
saw the preview of Moana in the theater, it looked bad. Like Dwayne Johnson looks just outright ridiculous as Maui. I was just like, and now he's all skin. I was just like, what? And like, who was asking for a live action version of Moana at this point? Like, it looks like the exact same movie, which, I guess if it is, that wasn't one of the complaints. They keep changing them, but it's just, I don't know. I had a feeling about that one in Hex too. I don't think Hex is going to do well. So it's another year of like Toy Story. You probably get, Spider-Man. Now, I think Spider-Man might beat out Doomsday at the box office.
Oh, that's interesting. You really think so, huh? That's interesting.
Its
Oh,
pre-sales are insane right now. And if the
That's a-
leaks are true, I don't know if you guys have seen the leaks potentially of Doomsday. If those are true, screw that movie. That's all I'm going to say right now. Is like, you are out of your mind. And I'm not going to reveal them here, but oh my gosh, if those leaks are remotely true, you're going to have a bunch of people upset.
Well, okay. Well, here's a prediction here. If the projections for Doomsday come in lower than expected, and perhaps maybe we get to that point where performance is a little bit shaky, do we see Disney, buy Lionsgate? Because apparently that's the big rumor right now.
I know.
I don't think so. I think Disney's, if anything, they pull like a Comcast, where I don't think they're going to spin Disney like off or like the parks off or anything like that. But I think Disney's going to try to get leaner. I don't see any big acquisitions.
I mean, maybe they finally sell off all the cable assets. I mean, that was rumored that Iger might do it.
that I think. Well, see, Iger got pushback from Hollywood and everything else when he, first put that forward, and he has connection to the cable business.
Yeah,
Josh
true.
DiMaggio doesn't have any connection. I think he has put some people in charge to say, do what must be done.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Iger is very much, and I want to preface this by saying not all boomers are bad, but he's very much.
Us are fantastic.
We love boomers, but this particular boomer,
This cardigan wearing boomer.
yes, he's mentally married to that ABC Cap Cities.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he came from that, like
Yep.
Tomorrow's a young dude. Tomorrow's like mid-50s. He's not the
Yeah.
same mindset.
Well, a different generation too. I mean, I think that, and we've talked about it before. I think that could be something as well. I mean, that would be very interesting. If with that, and it's just the box office is so. It's so interesting how it's all word of mouth now. Like, obviously the marketing plays a role, but if something isn't good, it'll just fall off a cliff. Versus like an Obsession or Backroom, some of these like independent films do really well because of the word of mouth. And I think that's just really interesting the way Hollywood is kind of setting up right now. By the way, I'll just tell you this right now. One of the leak rumors about Doomsday is the movie starts off with them killing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Oh.
Yeah, there's been some
wiping
rumor
out the entire universe. I'm like, if you guys do, and some of the other stuff I've heard too, I'm just like, especially stuff around Steve Rogers I'm just like, if that's what happens, oof. And they're going against Dune 3. I'm not saying Dune 3 is going to beat it, but they have competition around that slot. So that's why I think Spider-Man is and Spider-Man is such a huge property. Maybe it doesn't. I just think it has a pretty decent shot of out Doomsday.
But hey, maybe though. Jared, okay, I'm getting more harsh on Iger, but Jared is still way more harder on him.
I've been harsh on Iger before it was fashionable. I got a lot of hate from people like, how dare. I'm like, listen, I just think Bob Iger sucks. And I think he's good at buying stuff. But other than that, I really don't think he's been great. But, he does like his cardigans and he's of a certain generation. But that doesn't mean just because of that he's bad. It's just, it's another thing you throw in there. But, valid point. But I am much more harsh. I'll put it that way. Nicole Williams did say, Yepers, WW Pro read the whole leak. Yeah, it's out there. I hope it's not true. Because also the story they would be adapting is one that I don't think is a good story. But
I mean, Marvel needs this to be a win. We are at the end of the road here. If this doesn't hit, man, all heads are rolling, and maybe Kevin Feige's among them.
Well, what was interesting was, and you had brought to my attention the whole idea of them buying Lionsgate, which I'm like, I can't wait for John Wick takes on the patriarchy. That's going to be a really banger of a movie. But if Disney, in that article, they were laying out that Disney might put Star Wars and Marvel like on ice, and they're needing properties in the interim. Now, if they are doing that, that's a big if. But if that is true, that is one of the best things you can do. Is actually let
I think so. Yeah.
Invest. The idea being you'd bring in like a John Wick, and they've got a bunch of like one of the big things apparently Disney's interested in is like the religious, conservative family content that Lionsgate has as well. That's also interesting. So, I mean, their track record, I don't think it's great in buying and what they do with it, but that would be interesting if the whole idea there is that these help bridge while we repair Star Wars and Marvel. Easier said than done, and obviously that's just a rumor, but that would be very interesting.
Well, and I think a lot of the issues too aren't even necessarily a Disney issue. Like with the superhero stuff, I think people in general, the way they consume that kind of movie is changing. Like, I don't think people want to commit to like a cinematic universe right now.
Well, yeah, you gotta do homework now before you watch a movie. So you go, like, I gotta watch 30 movies to be able to know what's going on. Yeah, and that was an issue that when they didn't relaunch it after Infinity War, I was like, what are we doing? Because this is how comic book works. You have this big build up, everything is convoluted. You end the story, and you start back at a ground level, like Spider-Man story, where you're just doing Spider-Man stuff in Brooklyn. That's what you typically do in the comics, and they didn't do that. And they took it even more cosmic, and now you're like 35 movies deep. And how are you going to get a new audience at that point? Like, there's no on ramp for people.
That's the problem when you have $1 billion hits, right? Everybody wants that next $1 billion hit, and so it's kind of like, well, we can't do small sales stories because these things aren't budgeted that way. Obviously, the executive momentum there is to produce those hits over and over and over again. So what do? That's the problem. And they got into this bigger problem with Disney Plus absorbing all the cash. That's a whole thing right there. But then it's like we got to fuel this as well. So you're getting it from all sides. And like you said, Jared, they should have reset, but they couldn't.
They couldn't resist because you're right. Those $1 billion box offices, they wanted to keep happening, and it's I will say it shows a lot of self-restraint if you actually do like George Lucas and you just don't make movies for a bit. You're not going to see most movies most movie studios do that when they have something working, but they may have let it go on too long, and I don't know. That'll be interesting, the future of that. And I think they're thinking they're going to springboard Doomsday into some sort of relaunch of Marvel, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, you gotta you can't immediately just recast Thor and everybody and just think everyone's gonna be on board with it. Like, no. you gotta take a break at some point.
Yeah, if I was running Marvel, I would reimagine the whole, like, the cinematic universe thing. You gotta figure that out, because I don't think people want that right now.
Yeah,
and so maybe you restructure it where you do a lot of standalone movies and you kind of rebuild like the Marvel thing. But this whole thing about like what you were saying, Jared, like springboarding, Doomsday into like more cinematic universe stuff, I just don't think there's an appetite for it. Even if Doomsday is good.
Yeah. Well, and like even the Marvel Cinematic Universe is something Marvel themselves can't replicate. Like it was a thing that like it was a cultural phenomenon, and to think that you're going to do that again and again is just kind of hubris to assume you're going to get to that level. But I agree with you. I think I still think there's room, the big characters will do well in movies, but like the days of like a Guardians popping off or some of these other obscure characters, I just don't think the interest is there with it, especially as you have more video game movies and, a lot more independent stuff too. Like a lot of different type of movies and AI coming in the mix. It's going to get really interesting over the next few years of big studios versus some of these like independent creators too.
Let me ask you fellas this. I was watching Christian Harloff, who I'm a huge fan of, no secret, but I love his content. But he was saying Starfighter for Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot riding on that movie, right? And he was comparing that to like what's going on with DC right now, and he was saying Star Wars is actually in a worse position than DC. And I think he made a really good point. I think he was on with Roca. I'm not sure. It was two of them, but they were saying that like DC is more of a execution problem. So they don't like this version of Superman. They don't like this version of Batman, but you can wait 2 or 3 years and reboot the Batman again, and it could be a hit, right? That's an easier issue to fix than the Star Wars issue where you're trying to create new stuff and get people kind of on board with it. Like they're not rebooting like the original trilogy or like trying to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a lot more of an uphill battle than what even DC has. And I thought he made a great point with that. And I never really thought about it like that, but he's kind of right. I mean, dude, if Starfighter flops, like what's gonna happen? Yeah, I don't know what they can do. Where do you come? Maybe they'll do episode 10, 11, 12, right? Maybe they feel like going back to the Skywalker saga will be the move. I don't know. But like that would be a huge problem for them. And it makes me sad because I love Star Wars. I really love Star Wars. You know, but I mean, we got to be realistic, right?
Absolutely. You got to be extremely realistic. And look, you know, is Star Wars stuck in this mode in which it's reliant on 3 or 4 characters? That being, you know, Luke, Leia, Han, etc. Or is it bigger than that? I think George Lucas convinced quite a bit of people that it was bigger than that, right? But he was still within the Skywalker saga right there. I think if you translate some new stories within the Star Wars universe, I think they have every potential to take off. But the problem is now is like, do you have the creative capacity necessary to launch new things within Star Wars? That's a big uphill battle, and with how much they've fumbled the ball so far, you are now farther away from achieving that goal than you were. I think with Mandalorian, you were very close. But, you know, even that's petered out. So it's kind of like, where do we stand here?
Even with DC, I mean, Star Wars, I think, has more of a fan base that feels like they were betrayed. DC is more of like, I agree, it's like they just haven't executed well. Like they haven't demonstrably ruined the characters. It's just weird pacing of this stuff, trying to do it too quick. So like it might have a pretty good point that like DC is in a better place than Star Wars, considering I think still DC doesn't have that stigma that Star Wars does.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing too. Star Wars has canon, right? So DC can just reboot it. Okay, you don't like that Batman? You think that Batman sucked? We'll reboot it and we'll start over with a new Batman.
Right.
You can't do that with Star Wars though, because like Mark Hamill is Luke. You know, Leia. I mean, Carrie Fisher is Leia. Like these are like set in stone. So you can't just reboot it when it doesn't work out. And now you set the canon, right? So
and also comic books had that built in where they're always doing different series. So the audience that read those is kind of used to like a revamping of a character. And really just Batman's just awesome. Like he's just like a rich billionaire that's just a huge, like smartest man alive and a badass. You're just like, that's kind of cool story. Like I'm curious about that, but
I have a plan. Guys. This will all work out. Okay. All we do is we just issue 1 movie a year on a very, accelerated timetable. We won't establish a plan just yet. We'll figure that out as we go. And we'll hand off every single entry to new directors. How about that? I mean, I think it's perfect. We can relaunch Star Wars. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a second.
I don't think that really worked out. No, but that's the problem, right? I mean, you're right, Ochi. You set the canon with these new entries. And that's why every single entry had to be a little bit careful with how it handled that canon, with how it handled that built-in audience. Because, so much of it came from enthusiasm from the fans, not just supporting it in theaters, but supporting it in other ways, right? You don't build a $1 billion land 2 times over without the expectation that this is going to be, something that's going to be hidden in perpetuity. Yep. And unfortunately, mismanagement, has undercut all of that. So, and lack of, I think, creative focus.
And also this like Ryan Johnson apparently come in and just be like, yeah, I'm going to just change all this. So like, no, okay, go for it.
Go ahead.
Like my goal is to make people mad. You're like, I don't think that's a good move, but okay. But yeah, no, I agree. That part's really interesting. I could rant on the comic book stuff forever because I think Marvel had a pretty good run there for a bit. But even when it was running good, it's not like they were sticking to the source material really close, but they were much more respectful of it, I think, early on than they have been in recent years. So,
it's interesting too, because even when Disney bought Marvel, that company was not doing so hot. So it's
Well-
almost like it was like Marvel was like hot for a little bit, but they were kind of because that's why they made all those deals with like Universal and Sony, and they were
Well,
kind of like
in the 90s, yes. They weren't doing like they had Marvel Studios ramped up. I think Disney took it over before Avengers, the first Avengers. And so it was doing better, but definitely Marvel in the 90s was they were in trouble. Like Michael
They were in
Jackson was
big
bottom.
trouble.
Like they had a lot of issues. So I mean, in recent history, the revamping of it is definitely a more modern thing than what they had going on, for a bit there. But yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I do want to go see Spider-Man. I'm curious. I'm actually more excited this year for I'm probably more excited for Spider-Man than I am for Doomsday, to be honest. Because I just don't think Doomsday is going to pull it off for well.
I actually really like Tom Holland.
He's
I
not
like him
bad.
a lot. Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. I like him. I like him in the role, and I like him as a person.
Yeah. I think if they do the whole Toby thing, like the rumor is, I think they're underestimating how much people love the fact that like No Way Home was it No Way Home when you had Toby and Andrew Garfield in there.
Yeah.
That movie did as well as it did because of Tobey Maguire in that movie. Yeah. And like how much they love like Spider-Man 2, and the idea that like you're just gonna like wipe it out immediately, just like that's not gonna set well. Like I get what you're going for, which is shock, but we've already seen this with Infinity War too, which is like everyone just ends up getting killed. And
Well, that's the thing. Do we go risky or safe right now? I think we go safe right now, don't we? And the fact that they're going risky, I don't know if that's a good move, right?
Especially risky in the hands of, and mind you, the people that are writing this stuff. I mean, they've written some good stuff before, but we've also seen good writers. Ryan Johnson used to write for Breaking Bad. And look what he did. It's like just because you've done stuff good before doesn't mean it applies to every medium that you then write for. So,
Dude, The Glass Onion was a really good movie. You guys see
those are
that?
okay. I don't mind those. I feel like Ryan Johnson thinks he's way smarter than he is with those movies, because I feel like it was really easy to figure out who was doing the killing in the first one. At least I saw the first.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that makes the most. Like immediately, I'm not gonna spoil it, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's him. Like an hour later, it was like, oh, it was him, and you're like, yeah. But they are entertaining. Like I like movies like that though. Well, there's another one. What was the one with what's his name? Brana. It was like on a train, and there was a similar situation. I can't remember the name of it. That was a good movie too. They did a few of those. Kenneth Branagh.
Yes,
but I can't remember the name of the movie. But those were pretty good movies too. I didn't mind.
Now, real quick, because we're 3 hours and 15 minutes in, and we got some time. We're gonna read this all together. You guys ready?
Take out your books.
Take out your
Turn to
notebooks.
Page 3.
Listen, I
Start
quit
from
school.
there.
Listen, I already graduated. I don't. They told me YouTube would be no homework.
And there will be a test after this, so just
There will be. There will be.
strap
Hard
in.
to get Bob Ware to the opening of Shanghai Disneyland. You're like, son of a bitch.
I love it. I might have to
Well, this
wear.
has been really good.
I might have to wear my cardigan to D23. We'll see.
You definitely need to wear. Yeah, you definitely should. You should get like a special embroidery that says like something about the excellence of Bob Iger, and he'd notice it, because if he saw it, he's coming over to talk to you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He's making his way over there. But before we get out of here, we do another 5 from Cliff Flicks. Thank you, Cliff. He says, never
Thank
give
you,
the
Cliff
fans what
Flicks.
they want. That's surrendering to your enemy. Honestly, he's not. We can't give those people what they want.
No.
Why?
The customer never gets what it wants.
And then the same sentence, like, why won't they give us their money? And you're like, I don't know, guys. It's really complicated out there, I guess.
Yeah, that whole thing is interesting too, because there's some things that are like so obvious. Like, for example, right? Like the Galaxy's Edge thing. Like, come on, just put the music, put the John Williams, okay? Put his music in the land. John Williams is a genius. Put it in the land. Like, there's no brainers, right? That they just refuse to do. But then I also can kind of see the other side of this argument, where it's like, I also do like the fact that sometimes it's good to kind of like not always. Like, I think sometimes you can over listen to fans too. Sometimes it's good to go out there and do something different. Like, for example, Mission Breakout was not an idea that the fans wanted initially, but it turned out to be one of the most successful things that DCA has ever done.
You have to have like a really good plan and vision though to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's the
You gotta have
thing.
Joe
It's-
Rody.
Right. You got to have good creatives, right? So look, I mean, at some point you have to take a little bit of risk, right? You have to shake things up. That has to happen. There's no question about that. But how you go about that, man, that could really,
John Wick takes on the patriarchy. I'm telling you guys, this is $1 billion.
There you go.
You imagine always be like, and that's because you didn't say thank you. And you're like, okay, I guess.
it's ma'am.
Like the Gillette commercial, like, no, bro, leave her alone. And you're like, okay, all right, John. I love the John Wick movies, even though they're ridiculous. But yeah, I just imagine Disney. It's like, oh man. I mean, maybe it'd be, I don't know. Who knows? It would be weird seeing John Wick produced by Disney, though. You're just like, really? Like, okay. But either way, this has been a really good show. And we are at 3 hours. We did not intend to go this long, but good conversation. You guys in the chat have been awesome with all your interaction and support. So thank you guys very much for being here. And it's been a good birthday. So I appreciate everyone hanging out here. Before we get out of here, though, we'll let everybody tell you where they can check them out here on the internet. Mr. Orange Grove 55, thank you as always for being here. And where can all the people find you out there?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. And again, happy birthday to the CEO of the Bros, Jared from Capture the Magic.
Bros.
But you can find me right here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55, talking theme park, studio, corporate talk, all that good stuff with these fine gentlemen and many other fine gentlemen like Seymour Duck and Jay Shear and Tones Poppy. Yeah, a whole bunch of great people that we talk to. Actually, tomorrow I'm actually filming a video with the one and only Wicked Virtue. So check out for her video. Yeah, very, very soon. That'll be probably on released on Friday. But also, you can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and you can find me on X, Orange Grove 55. Vash, take it away, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, OG55. And thank you so much, Jared, for having me on this amazing program. I want to go ahead and thank each and every one of you out there for listening for a little over 3 hours right here. But definitely, so much super chat support for our various channels right there. O2RR, giving multiple Cliff Flex, Hidden Geek Village right there. Neil Magic 94. Everybody, thank you so much for supporting our channels and really watching and making our dreams come true on this platform right here. Very close to 10,000. So thank you so much for that. Tomorrow we've got an amazing show on Vashkai Parkcast talking about a Grand Floridian bar was recently seen with not as many patrons and a very interesting time in Disney World history right there. We'll go ahead and talk about that also too. Disney donated a huge sum to a certain political campaign. It's very interesting because, I thought they were getting out of politics. Yeah. Jumping right back in, it looks like. We'll go ahead and break that down and so much more. And is American Adventure the next reimagining of a classic attraction? We will talk about that and so much more on Vashkai Parkcast tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a great show. And definitely check us out if you're a Sky Watcher, the Vash and Vixen program on Saturday at 3 p.m. We're going to be continuing our American coverage, talking about the American Adventure, Liberty Square, and also too Disney's America. So definitely check us out, and can't wait to see you all then. OG, Jared, thank you, and happy birthday, of course.
Disney's America. That is a name I haven't heard in forever.
Yeah.
On the 4th, we were at Epcot. I have never seen American Adventure as packed as it was. Like there was not an open seat. The entire thing was packed, so it was pretty cool. Like it was hot, it was cool, but the character meet and greets were like, I think they said the cast member told us 4 or 5 hour wait to see like Americana, Mickey, and Goofy, and I was like, I think I'm good. I don't really feel like waiting that long, but yeah, it was quite there. But yeah, absolutely.
Real quick before we go, I actually do have a little Americana for us to close out the show.
Okay.
You guys ready?
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
Nice.
I mean, if you don't run through a brick wall after hearing that, I don't know what's wrong with you. That is probably the best like pregame thing ever. That thing is really good.
I did a show with Candid Camper the other day. It was actually like on 4th of July, so
Nice.
Yeah, we rocked that in the intro.
awesome.
So kind of
Yeah.
fun.
4th of July was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was fun this year. But yeah, I need to get that clip because that's a good one just to have. If I'm even feeling down, I'm just gonna play that and be like, yeah, I'm gonna start my engines and go. But yeah, but like Vash said, thank you guys up for the support. They got along with what Vash mentioned. We got Juliet, Julie Seek, Cell. Okay, I'm gonna get that wrong. Cellrad. I probably got that wrong. I apologize. Cliff Flicks, Seymour Duck, Kiki and Luke. We got Hidden Geek Village again. Theme Park Conductor donated some memberships. Camon's Island Podcast. Orbic Sorceress became a member. O2RR, Ill Magic. And I think that's everybody that sent super chat. So thank you guys very, very much. Definitely appreciate it. We love doing these, but you guys interacting it makes it just that much more fun. And anytime anybody sends anything, we greatly appreciate it and do not take that lightly. But that has been the show this week. We'll be next week on Tuesday. Like I said, Tuesday going forward is when this show will be taking place, 8:30-ish Eastern time on everybody's various channels there. And if you're looking for me, I'm at Cap the Magic, where you can find me here on YouTube, social media, all that stuff there. And if you do want to hear more about Helios and the fireworks show and everything, my wife and I on our podcast at CTM Podcast on YouTube as well, we will break that down in very detail about Helios and what we thought about all that and everything like that. So check that out there. But that is going to do it for us. Thank you guys for being here. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thank you.